Invitational at Bay Hill is ongoing right now. Chris Kirk and Cameron Young each fired 5 under 67s earlier this morning. Adam Schneck, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth are among 6 golfers who are at 4 under par, 1 shot off the pace. John Rahm is among the featured groups that are being showcased on ESPN Plus right now. Rahm has got it to the 3 under mark. He's playing the 13th hole again. Featured hole, featured group coverage is airing on ESPN Plus. The Los Angeles Lakers announcing today LeBron James going to have his right foot reevaluated in about 3 weeks. He suffered a tendon injury in that right foot in the comeback win over the Mavericks on Sunday. Lakers then lost earlier in the week, picked up a much-needed win in Oklahoma City without LeBron and Anthony Davis last night. Jalen Carter back at the NFL Scouting Combine in Indy 1 day after he was arrested and charged with a pair of misdemeanors in Georgia in relation to the January 15th crash that killed a teammate and a Bulldogs recruiting staff member right after the Georgia Bulldogs parade.
How would you love a chance to save some money on car insurance? Geico can help. Switch today and see all the ways you could save with great rates and discounts. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com to get a rate quote and get started seeing how much you could save.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Larry Holder next hour. Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball, in hour number 3. We got a lot to get to, including Pete Maravich's record, once thought to be untouchable, likely going to fall tonight. Got some perspective on that coming up a bit later in the show. Would love to hear from you as well. All right, you know what? Give me Graf. I don't know how many times we're going to be able to do this. The Pels win last night. LSU blew it against Missouri, but the Pels win. So just these opportunities, few and far between. Damn it, I'm going to enjoy them when they come. Give me Graf.
Leave it for Najee. Floated up. That's too strong. Didn't get a roll. Rebound Herb Jones, though. Back out long to Murphy. Up top McCollum. Chest it to B.I. Right wing 3. Get in there, B.I.
You know what I missed so much, though, Muse? Because they blew it against the Magic.
Yeah.
JD was back.
I know.
John DeShazer was on the broadcast, the only thing better than Graf is Graf and JD.
Yes.
But we had no reason to be hopeful or fun or optimistic or anything after the Magic loss, so we didn't play any of it.
No.
Do you have any of it?
No.
Find some of it.
Okay.
There's got to be something.
Maybe.
Since they won yesterday against Portland, I'm in a better mood. Like, I know what this season is still, but I'm at least in a good enough mood to look back in hindsight at something maybe from JD and Graf from the loss to Orlando. So we'll see. We'll see. If you
I'll have to dig. The Dropbox only has last night.
Okay.
Right
Well,
now,
you
so
find something. You find something. You let me know. Or text Graf. He's got him.
Yeah.
Just text Graf. He'll send you something. Okay. He's probably listening right. Graf, text Muso something from you and JD the other night. All right. It's after further review. We're glad you're with us. A little newsy item to start here today. Saints running back Alvin Kamara today pleaded not guilty to conspiracy to commit battery, which is a misdemeanor, and substantial bodily harm, a felony, at a courthouse in Nevada. His trial set for July 31st at 10 a.m. likely means if found guilty, his discipline would come in 2023. That's a tweet from Ian Rappaport earlier today. A couple of things notable here. Number one, July 31st, when the trial is set, is during Saints training camp. So Alvin Kamara, I am assuming, is going to be at his trial or would be required to be at his trial. And so he would miss part of training camp to be at his trial in Nevada. And the other part of that in bringing charges and now Kamara entering his plea and this going through the legal process. The NFL, if he's found guilty, we'll see what punishment may come of it. But the NFL could certainly, now that charges have been brought against Alvin Kamara formally, could punish him. And when you look at the league's personal conduct policy, we're all assuming that would be a minimum of 6 games. That it's Roger Goodell is judge, juror, executioner. We know that. He could do whatever he wants. It could change, but we're all sort of under the assumption that's what it would be given precedent. This is a line from the personal conduct policy, so if you're wondering on timing, I'll just read it directly here. Anytime the league becomes aware of conduct that may violate the policy, it will undertake an investigation conducted by the NFL Special Counsel for Investigations and Conduct, who will oversee the NFL's investigatory procedure and issues initial discipline for violations of the policy. So basically, they'll wait for the outcome of the case to see in the trial to see what punishment may come. So we're all assuming in July or sometime in August, we'll know what the punishment from the NFL will be on Alvin Kamara, and we're all assuming that he will miss game time this year. At least I am. I'm sure many of you are as well. And the reason that sort of becomes interesting is because it's at a time where the Saints really need to address running back either way. No matter if Alvin Kamara misses time or not, listen, Kamara didn't have the best season of his career this past year, but he still led the Saints in rushing and was the 3rd leading receiver on the team this year. So on a team that was awful offensively, 22nd in the NFL in scoring, if you were to remove Alvin Kamara from the equation, you're left with an injured Mark Ingram, David Johnson, Eno Benjamin. I mean, it was a problem. So you've got to address that either way. Mark Ingram's coming off of injury. I don't know that anybody is sitting here thinking Eno Benjamin or David Johnson are going to be the answer for this team. So you've got to address running back. Now, if you're looking at Kamara's contract, and that's part of where this conversation starts, the Saints do have an out in Kamara's contract in 2024. So after this season, the Saints do have a potential out for the deal. He's most certainly going to be on the roster this year because his dead cap number is $19 million. But beyond that, they could save with a post-June 1st trade or release designation next year. They could save some $5 million against the cap if it comes to that. Hopefully it doesn't. I mean, I love Alvin Kamara. Would love to see him finish his career in New Orleans. But they do have a potential out after this season. But even if Kamara is going to finish out the contract, which he's got 23, 24, and 25, so 3 more years on the deal, and then a voided year when they restructured it. But basically, they got Kamara for 3 more years. And he's 27, so this would take him through his 30th birthday, his current contract, if he plays out the final 3 years. Ultimately, you still have to start to find a complement and potential replacement for Alvin Kamara. That's just what happens with running backs. And we're seeing it now. What ignoring that position has done with the depth behind Alvin Kamara when he's missed time or whatever else may be going on in that room. And so when you look at the free agent class this year, the NFL free agent market for running backs, it's not robust, number one. And quite honestly, the players that you would think the Saints might make a play for, financially, I can't say that any of it would really make sense. Saquon Barkley is going to be at the top of this year's free agent class. Spotrac puts Saquon Barkley's projected market value, at $12.3 million as an annual average salary. The Saints can't justify going after Saquon Barkley and paying him $12 million per year. I think we all understand that, right? Like that's just not a realistic option for New Orleans. The other guys at the top, Kareem Hunt, Rashad Penny, Jamal Williams, Josh Jacobs. The only one of those that could make sense financially is Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams had a nice year in Detroit this season. He's 27 years old, a former 4th-round pick in 2017, the same class as Alvin Kamara, and they're projecting his salary at $4.1 million per year. That's one that could make sense as a complement to Alvin Kamara if you wanted to go sign a player like Jamal Williams. We talked earlier this week about Leonard Fournette, who's set to become a free agent, and I would be thrilled with New Orleans signing Leonard Fournette. Even if it was a 1-year or incentive-laden deal, however you want to structure it, Fournette, at this point in his career, still has a lot of tread on the tires because of the the lack of overuse. He's only had more than 200 rushing attempts once in his career. So Fournette has a lot of tread on the tires for a guy that's 28 years old, who's just a year older than Alvin Kamara. So, yes, I would very much be in favor of signing Leonard Fournette if the opportunity presented. And I kind of feel like those are your only realistic options for a solid back as a complement to Kamara that would be affordable and attainable. But if you look at the draft, this is where I think it gets really intriguing for a team like New Orleans. Realistically, guys like Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs at the top of the draft may not be realistic options for New Orleans. Gibbs maybe if you wanted to go late in round one, but it feels like the Saints might have more needs and better options later in the draft. Tank Bigsby is the third best running back in this draft. I'm just looking at, this is from Yahoo. Zach Charbonnet, who LSU fans got to see very well from UCLA. Dynamic runner who can also catch the ball in the backfield. Sean Tucker from Syracuse was a record-setting running back in the ACC. Remember Devon Achane? He's graded out as the sixth best running back in this year's draft. Like, you wouldn't love to use a mid-round pick on a guy like Achane? LSU saw Dwayne McBride this year as well. Led the nation in rushing from UAB. Zach Evans from Ole Miss. This guy was a former five-star. Athletically, not even a doubt that he could do it. And also a very good pass catcher out of the backfield. Kendre Miller from TCU. Chase Brown from Illinois, who was a great running back for the Illini in the Big Ten this year. I mean, there's so many running backs available in this year's draft class that look, Kenny McIntosh from Georgia is in this draft class. That doesn't even include a guy like Tyjae Spears, who blew up the Senior Bowl. And on this Yahoo list, they have him as the 13th best running back in this year's class. So my point is, you don't have to go overspend in free agency. If a veteran back is available to you and affordable, great. But this is a loaded running back draft class where the Saints could very well find an opportunity with one of their middle round picks to pull the trigger on a guy who, like Eric Gray. Do you remember Eric Gray? Eric Gray, when Tennessee stunk, Eric Gray was like the only thing they had. Hard to tackle, powerful runner. He left Tennessee to go to Oklahoma to try to win. Well, Lincoln Riley leaves, and then he just sort of disappeared a little bit from the national consciousness. But Eric Gray is a dynamic runner. Like, I'd be thrilled if Eric Gray ended up in New Orleans with a middle round pick. So just something worth keeping an eye on. That guy, Chris Rodriguez led the SEC in rushing a year ago. They have him graded as the 20th best running back in this year's class. When you think about the Super Bowl and Pacheco from Kansas City, who was a 7th-round pick, who became such a dynamic piece of their offense, especially in the second half of the year, you look and you realize stylistically there are backs that may fit what you want to do that you can get middle or late rounds, and I think there are a ton of them in this year's draft class. So I was hopeful the Saints would pull the trigger on a running back a year ago. They didn't, and I think it hurt their offense. This should be a no-brainer this year that with their bevy of draft picks, they are going to use one of them on a running back, and they should get great value somewhere in this draft class. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Thursday shows are brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online, theantiagingclinics.com. That's theantiagingclinics.com. All right, well, now I got a quick break, y'all. Jay Johnson met with the media a bit ago to preview this weekend. We'll let you know what the skipper had to say. That's next here on AFR.
AFR.
Yo, 1 week from tomorrow, let me remind you, 1 week from tomorrow is the rescheduled Take Me Out to Tallulah. Tallulah, the Renaissance, the restaurant inside of the Renaissance Hotel. Phenomenal. Don't think of it like a dining hall or a diner inside of a restaurant. This is a amazing upscale restaurant, casual upscale inside of the Renaissance Hotel, right there on Bluebonnet with a gorgeous patio area as well that they call the terrace. So Take Me Out to Tallulah is going to be a lot of fun. They will have beer from Rally Cap samples. Taylor Calandro is going to be there with whiskey samples as well. There will be great specials on beer and burgers at Tallulah for the LSU baseball game a week from tomorrow. It's Take Me Out to Tallulah. They'll have the game being shown on big projection screens indoors and outdoors, so make plans to join us 1 week from tomorrow for Take Me Out to Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet. That's the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring. Wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
All right, let's say ah.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
I am intentionally avoiding talking about the LSU basketball game from last night. It was senior night. Tigers lost to Missouri. It doesn't really tell the whole story. Just a massively disappointing year, as we all know. But I do want to get some thoughts on it. We'll do that here in about 15 minutes when we go around the SEC. Jay Johnson met with the media on Thursday to preview the weekend. Long weekend for LSU. They're going to play 4 games. So Friday to Monday with Butler and Central Connecticut State is how they'll do it. So Butler, then 2 against Central Connecticut State. Then on Monday they'll play Butler again. So you get 4 games. And then obviously considering they played on Tuesday, and then they play next week in the midweek as well on Wednesday. That would be 5, the 4 weekend games, and the Wednesday game is 5 games in 6 days. So that's an awful lot to manage. Jay Johnson did discuss that, managing playing 5 games in 6 days with a collegiate roster.
One of the positives about the trip, at least as I kind of rewrote it out, is we used 14 pitchers and nobody threw twice. And there's very few staffs in the country that could accomplish that and win 3 games, in 4 and playing 3 Power 5 teams and one of the better mid-majors in the country. So I thought that showcased our depth, and then we're really going to have to count on that during this stretch here. And again, this is not any kind of blowover weekend or anything. I mean, this team was a regional team, I think, that played LSU in 2021 in Central Connecticut. Are facing a very good pitcher tomorrow night and a team that has a veteran lineup. And they played Campbell incredibly tough last weekend, who's an NCAA tournament team every year. I think they had the lead late twice. So this is going to be a good weekend for us.
The Camels. The Camels. They were here. Were they here, Muse? Did Campbell ever come here? Do you recall?
Not that I recall. They were in Knoxville in the regional last year, which might be why they're on your mind.
Okay,
so
maybe so. So LSU's going to play 4 games this weekend, and I know everyone is flipping a little bit about the strikeouts. Jay Johnson was asked about that. Are the strikeouts a concern?
There's actually a couple reasons why we're a little higher. We want to eliminate the ones that we shouldn't have, but we're going to have some. And, I don't really want to elaborate on how and the why and the what, but I know the difference between the ones that are, I guess, what you would call okay or acceptable and the ones that aren't. We want to attack the ones that aren't and have those be a little bit better.
We talked about that a little bit after the game on Tuesday night. Yes, strikeouts are going to happen, but there's times where you got to put the ball in play. I think we talked about the situational in the 6th inning. You had runners at 2nd and 3rd with Brady Neal up and 2 outs in a scoreless game. You got to put the ball in play there. And I like Brady Neal a lot. Please don't misunderstand. I think he has given you professional at-bats. I love his ability to hit to all fields, but that's just an example that comes to mind in a big spot. In the 4th inning, Tommy White led off with a double, and then they proceeded to strike out the side. You got to put the ball. You can't lead off with a double and have the inning end with old boy standing on second base. You got to be able to advance a runner and put a ball in play, put pressure on the defense. I think that's probably what he's alluding to. But about the strikeouts as well, real quick. LSU currently is 2nd in the SEC in strikeouts with 74. South Carolina has 77. Tennessee, also a pretty good team, has 72. So they're 2 behind LSU. But if you flip this, understand, at this point in the season, a lot of what your statistics are going to tell you are going to be a reflection of competition. For example, Alabama currently leads the SEC in batting average at 360. Alabama has played a weekend series against Richmond, a midweek game against Tennessee Tech, a midweek game against Tennessee Martin. They played a 3-game series against High Point, and then a midweek game against Jacksonville State. That's not exactly the same gauntlet of 4 games that LSU just faced going to Round Rock and then Austin. So, yeah, I would expect you're going to see a little bit of a flip. And as you get into conference play, some of that is going to rectify itself as you would anticipate. Right now, the only teams in the SEC that aren't hitting 300 as a team, like the team batting average, are Texas A&M at 264 and Vanderbilt at 253. That was audible, Muse. That's okay. Let me do this real quick. Last year, all right, so right now, 12 of the 14 teams in the league are hitting 300 as a team for their team batting average. Muse, you want to guess how many teams in the SEC last year finished the season with a 300 batting average? I didn't know this. I just pulled it up. How many finished the season with a team batting average over 300?
I think it was 3.
I think you were wrong. It was 1.
It was Tennessee.
Tennessee. A&M and LSU each hit 289, Vanderbilt 286, Georgia 284. My point is, there's 12 teams right now averaging 300. So a lot of that is just you don't have a big enough sample size. That's why it's averages. Averages will play out as the season goes along. So I'm not going to I'm just not going to overreact to it right now. I think we all agree LSU's got really good hitters. There's some really good players in this team, and I think they're going to be just fine at the plate. One other thing, a couple more from Jay Johnson. Muse, can you please play number 5? Okay, so this is Jay Johnson was asked about Trey Morgan playing in left. He's obviously been there since Tommy White's injury sort of necessitated it. Jay Johnson was asked, is Trey Morgan a long-term option in left? Here's what he said.
I think it's been out of necessity. Had Tommy not gotten hurt, he'd still be at first base. With that being said, I don't really have a lot of interest in not having Jared Jones hitting right now. And he's improved a lot defensively. Josh Jordan works with the first baseman, has worked hard with him, and I thought he played great over there for 4 games. And, so it's just more of we take each game a day at a time. You find out about your team, but we're not trying to figure out our team, if that makes sense. And so, it was a little bit of a personnel necessity, and Trey did a good job out there. He made a couple good catches on Tuesday night. If we didn't have that versatility with Jared or with him, might have made this thing even a little more complicated than it is. But for me, it's just like, hey, let's make a couple adjustments and let's go to work.
I mean, think about it. If Trey Morgan was playing in the outfield, you'd be taking Jones out of the lineup, and you probably have Kling or Pearson out there and Morgan at first, but you'd have to remove Jones from the lineup so you could DH Tommy White. So, yes, it's out of necessity, but it's something that I know we've talked about for a year now, and a lot of you have pushed back against it, and I know I've kind of banged this drum loudly. Like, Trey Morgan's not going to be a first baseman. You don't put athletic guys at first base at the next level. You put Jared Jones at first base. I'm not saying he's not athletic, but you put the dude that's 6'4", 230, that looks like Soda Popinski. You put him at first base. You let him club homers and catch the ball. Like, that's what you do. It's a way to get another bat in the lineup. So Trey Morgan, and he's a lefty, so he can't play the left side of the infield. He's going to be an outfielder. That's what Trey Morgan's going to be at the next level. He's going to play in the outfield. And he's showing you the catch he made on the warning track on Tuesday night, going down to a knee. I mean, it's fantastic. So, yes, when Tommy White is healthy, this is easy. Tommy White goes to third. Trey Morgan goes to first. Jones DHs, and you put Klinger Pearson in the outfield spot, and that's your best lineup. I think you'd agree with that. That's your best lineup by far. But you don't have that option right now because Tommy White's not playing third base yet. Speaking of which, here was Jay Johnson on Tommy White if he would return to third this weekend.
I don't know that yet. He played catch on Monday for the first time, played a little bit of catch Tuesday, took tomorrow off. Don't really have an answer on that either way. We're hopeful. I mean, we're hopeful that all of them are at 100% and full strength, but we'll work that way back in the manner that it needs to. It's good having a good roster and depth that, it's pretty significant if you looked at it from the outset of how it would affect our team, and it really hasn't. Infield defense has been great with Ben and Jordan and Gavin, so Jared did a nice job over at first this weekend. Made some really good catches, made a good pick in the dirt. Trey, coming in at the end of the game. So we feel like we can get through in a way that we can make sure he's healthy before he's thrown again.
To illustrate Jay Johnson's point about depth, think about last year at the end of the season when Jacob Berry went out and when Cade Doughty had separated his shoulder. Think about how devastating that was to your team. The dramatic drop-off that happened when those two guys weren't available. You haven't really missed a beat because you got great options. That's what depth has done to this team. So get another game, another series, a long weekend. 4 games this weekend, then they'll play again in the midweek next week. So 5 games in 6 days for LSU coming up. All right, it's After Further Review brought to you by Relief Windows, Windows Door Siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank and vinyl siding. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. You can always, I encourage you if you haven't done this yet and you're thinking about replacing your windows, go check out the Relief Windows showroom. It's gorgeous, man. It's on Airline Highway in Prairieville. If you're going south on Airline, you cross Highway 42, look to the right. You'll see it about a quarter mile on the right. Walk-ins are always welcome, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Just walk in. They'll always have an associate ready to talk to you. The same people, the same company that designed LSU football ops designed the Relief Windows showroom. I mean, it is awesome to see. So go check them out there. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows Door Siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. We'll come back. We'll go around the SEC. Nick Saban continues to hoard great coaches on his staff. We'll get to that in a moment. And I will give you some thoughts on the LSU basketball team losing last night. Hey, in 30 minutes to start next hour, I want to talk a little bit about something that I think is really going to interest you. Pete Maravich's record, which has stood for 50 years, his scoring record, is likely going to fall tonight. But the context surrounding the record likely being broken is what has caused a lot of conversation. And I do want to talk about that. And I have some thoughts on it. I would love to hear yours as well. So that's coming up in about 30 minutes right now to start hour 2. We're glad you're here. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
I was talking to Darren James last night, and he sent me a picture, because I often tell you how Darren will go to extreme lengths to help his clients get their home sold, whatever he's got to do. Darren last night sent me a picture. He was in Crowley changing a bulb at one of his listings, a light bulb, at one of his listings for a family who's no longer occupying the house before the inspection today. He lives in Baton Rouge. He drove to Crowley to change a light bulb. That's Darren James. If you need to sell your home, you need to call the realtor that sells more homes than anyone. That's Darren James. The proof is obviously in the results. We talk about that all the time. Top 1% of realtors in America. But more than anything, Darren just has a way of making you feel like you are his only client. He's going to get your home sold fast for more money and give you a stress-free experience. Call Darren James. Get your home sold.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Well, just disappointing. You come out to start the second half and we leave the ball there and give up an easy 15-footer, come down, turn it over, give them some momentum. They get it back to single digits. And I think they finally tied it right around 59. And we did mount a response there, and we were able to build the lead again, but we just weren't able to get enough stops. And then just unfortunately, we had back-to-back possession. We don't even get a shot at the goal because we turned the ball over. You know, it's some poor execution there.
They should have played Parker Edwards more. That's what they should have done. You kidding me? All my guy does is go out there, gets 6 minutes, 2 shot attempts. He drains 2 threes. He's averaging a point a minute. You know what I mean? You let Parker Edwards go run the floor. He's dropping a 40 burger last night. Book it. That'll happen. It's embarrassing, Matt McMahon. Senior night, you give the kid a start, you drop a couple plays, all he does is go bang, bang, 6 points. You got a lead, you got momentum, you got the crowd into it, and then you go, hey, thanks so much for getting us a lead. Take a seat, kid. What are we doing here, man? You ever heard of hot hand? Play the hot hand. All right, so I'm joking. But I might be serious. I might have convinced myself of this. We were at Oliver Twist last night for Scone and Tea, and the game started as we were finishing the show at 8, and we look up and Parker Edwards goes bang, bang. He's 2 for 2 from 3. And I'm like, you know what's sad? I told you this, Muse. What did I say yesterday at Oliver Twist? I don't want you to say it.
Uh-oh.
Never mind, Muse.
I don't remember.
I said the worst part about this is that people are going to flood me on Twitter and other places and say, why hasn't Parker Edwards been playing more? Yeah. Please stop. Okay. It was great. They drew up 2 plays to get him open looks. He nailed them both. That was awesome. Please don't tell me Parker Edwards is your solution. Okay. Respect. Kid scored 25 in his first game. And what a way to go out. 25 in his first game against Southeastern. Remember, he scored 25 in like 11 minutes when they put him in late in that blowout, and he just started raining. And then great way to start last night. What a memory for him to create. LSU last night. So, no, Parker Edwards is not the answer. But then again, you're so bad. Why not? Why not? Right? I mean, does it get to that point where you're like,
it can't get worse type deal? No, it can't.
It really can't.
You're 2 and 15.
Yeah, it couldn't get worse. No. Why not? Give the kid 25 minutes. See what happens. But then again, I guess the flip side of it is like you legitimately want to give your team the best chance to win, and you want to play your best players, but you've done that this year and it hasn't gone well. Maybe, look, yes, I did watch the game. I know I don't really have much desire to analyze it. The end game execution was atrocious. They had an opportunity. And it's odd because one of the things they did in the pre-conference was when they were 11-1, they found themselves in a lot of really close games at the end of the game and executed to win, which was really encouraging at the time. And they've just completely fallen apart. The weird thing about last night is they had the bizarre one-off scenario they needed. LSU was 11 of 15 from 3 in the first half. I'm going to say that again. 11 of 15. They were 11 of 15. LSU, which is one of the worst offensive teams in college basketball, was 11 of 15 from 3 in the first half. For the game, they shot 50% from 3, and they made 20 of 22 free throws. They're one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the league. They made 20 of 22 free throws. Everything they needed to go right went right. Like the ball was going in the hole, which has just not happened for this team very much this year. The ball was going in the hole. And they led by 13 at half. So just for context, LSU is 323rd nationally in points per game. They are literally one of the worst. If you're doing stats and looking at the national average and everything, like where you fall in the national ranking, and your ranking starts with a 3, you're garbage. Like bad. 323rd in scoring. And they were 11 of 15 from 3 in the first half. They led by 13. And then in the second half, they decided they just wanted to turn it over 16 times and let Missouri do whatever they wanted and whatever. So LSU loses again. The regular season mercifully wraps up Saturday, 5 o'clock at Florida, and then the Tigers will get bounced after their first game in the SEC tournament, and mercifully the season will be over, and Matt McMahon can look to the future. But boy, I like I think many of you understand what he inherited and understand this was not going to be an easy year, and it has not been. But we also have not seen much improvement at all, and that's the concerning part. So Matt McMahon's got to go recruit, man. You've got to go use NIL, use whatever you can, whatever you have at your luxury to go remake this roster, because you're running out there. The old Sylvester Croom line when he was coaching in Mississippi State. He said, "You ever been in a bear fight without a gun?" He said they had a switch. Now they had a gun. Whenever he felt like he finally recruited that thing. Now he didn't, because they were never any good. But that's what LSU has been. They've been in a bear fight with a switch, and they need a gun. Got to go get them this offseason. Okay, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Had a buddy text me that he and his daughter were going over to South Point, wanted to look at a Tiguan for his daughter for her first vehicle. It did, in fact, happen. So shout out to, well, I'm not going to mention their name, but shout out to the family who picked up a Tiguan SE R-Line for Mr. Bill over at South Point Volkswagen. If it's the Atlas, the 3-row 7-seater family SUV, the Tiguan, which is the compact SUV, the Passat, the Jetta, the Beetle, the CC, they got so many great options at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, or online at southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? Okay, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Alabama has hired Charlie Strong as a defensive analyst. Yes, that Charlie Strong. Former Texas and Louisville head coach Charlie Strong, now an analyst at Alabama. Most recently served as co-defensive coordinator and linebackers coach at Miami under Mario Cristobal this past season. This reunites Strong with Kevin Steele, who was in the same position a year ago with Miami.
The Florida Gators.
Florida has added to its coaching staff as well. They've added Alan Brown as a defensive quality control coach. Brown spent last season in a quality control role at Cal. Brown spent 3 seasons at the FCS level with Eastern Washington as their cornerbacks coach. He played at Eastern Washington as well and was part of their national championship team in 2010.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn sports staff is set to lose a key piece. Joe Bernardi, who is an offensive analyst since January of 2022. He's going to be the offensive line coach at Troy. Bernardi was working with the Auburn offensive line. Then when Brian Harsin was fired and Cadillac Williams was promoted, he was named interim tight ends coach for the final month of last year. He was among the staffers that Hugh Freeze retained, but now he's off to Troy to be their offensive line coach.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Senior defensive tackle Torian Carter got some good news. He has been fully cleared for spring football 11 months after he tore his ACL last year in spring drills. 6'3", 294-pound defensive tackle. As a redshirt sophomore in 2021, played in all 13 games and missed last year with the torn ACL. He was the number 604 overall prospect in the nation, the number 44 defensive tackle when he signed in 2019.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Tight end Jorquarius Spivey is transferring back to Mississippi State. Started there, redshirted in 2018, made 5 starts in 24 games over the next couple of seasons, transferred to TCU, and now will use his final year transferring back to Mississippi State. He was a 3-star recruit out of Ridgewood High in Monroe. He'll finish up his college career there in Starkville.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Starting point guard Zakai Ziegler suffered a torn ACL. He'll miss the rest of the season. Left Tuesday's game against Arkansas after landing awkwardly in the first half. Ziegler, 5'9" point guard, started the past 13 games for Tennessee, was named a semifinalist for the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year award. With Ziegler out, Santiago Vescovi and sophomore Jemai Meshack will handle the ball handling duties. 12th-ranked Vols close out the regular season at Auburn on Saturday.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
And Ole Miss left-handed pitcher Hunter Elliott has not pitched since the season opener against Delaware. Mike Bianco confirming Elliott has a sprained UCL. Current plan is for Elliott to return mid-April. Ole Miss hits the road for the first time this weekend when they go play in Minneapolis against Maryland. There you have it. That is Around the SEC presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. You know where to find them. GCOPnet.com. GCOPnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Ask about interactive whiteboards at Gulf Coast Office Products. A lot of us changed our habits, business practices whenever COVID came along, and interactive whiteboards became massive for that. It allows you to connect with vendors, employees, clients, anywhere in the country or the world, and there's an affordable option. Literally, it doesn't matter if you're a 2-person business or 2,000-person business. Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. By the way, I mentioned, so Hunter Elliott, the lefty, who we all remember well from last year, from Ole Miss, who's got the UCL injury. They're projecting a mid-April return. Just as a note, LSU plays at Ole Miss April 21st through 23rd. So that would be on target with Elliott returning prior to the LSU series. So we'll keep an eye on the Hunter Elliott situation to see if he's back, because if he's not pitching against LSU, that is a major advantage for LSU when they head to Oxford in late April. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out our final break here of hour number 1. Stick around.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident and it's not your fault, do what injured people around Louisiana have done for 30 years. Get Gordon, get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys with offices all over the state of Louisiana. You can give him a buzz at 888-8888. That's 888-8888. Or online at getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. Of course, Gordon has been so integral in the NIL space, giving so many opportunities to student athletes across different universities and different sports all over the state of Louisiana, and continuing to give back as well through the Gordon Gives arm of the law firm. Been sharing this with you, but the great news that Alexis Morris, Angel Reese, they donated 20 points, $5 for every point that they scored, $20 for every point that they scored throughout the month of February. Ended up raising nearly $6,000, and Gordon's bumping that up to $10,000 that he's going to donate to the Turner Syndrome Foundation. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Get Gordon. Get it done.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, wrapping up hour number one. This was this is pretty interesting to me. Joe Montana is selling like all of his personal memorabilia. Did you see this? It was a month-long auction where Montana is selling his personal memorabilia collection. Letters of authenticity included from Montana and himself and outside authenticators. Like the headline item is the jersey that he wore in not one but two Super Bowls. You want to talk about how times have changed. So the jersey he wore in Super Bowl 19 when the Niners defeated the Dolphins 38-16. So he kept the jersey in his home. And then 4 years later, when they beat the Bengals in Super Bowl 23, when Montana put together what became known as the Drive, when they beat the Bengals 20-16, the story goes Montana's wife, Jennifer, pulled the jersey from a scrapbook and packed it in Joe's stadium bag with a note that reads, quote, "Maybe you want to wear it again." And so he wore the same jersey in two different Super Bowls. I guess this was before the days of patches or jersey exchanges or keeping jerseys and getting a jersey for every game. That to me is pretty incredible. Like the fact that he wore the same jersey in two different Super Bowls. Well, that jersey sold for a record $1.212 million, breaking the previous record of $480,000 for the jersey that Tom Brady wore in the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I find that pretty stark. But the highest dollar item sold in Montana's auction was his game-used signed Notre Dame helmet from the Cotton Bowl, January 1st, 1979. It's a very famous game that Joe Montana played in, supposedly sick and all that sort of stuff. But that helmet garnered $3.7 million. Someone paid $3.7 million for Joe Montana's college helmet that he wore in the Cotton Bowl, January 1st, 1979. His uniform with the final game with the Niners, the ball from his final touchdown pass with the Niners, his signed Kansas City Chiefs uniform from his final NFL game, his high school football jersey. He sold his Pro Football Hall of Fame jacket and bust. He sold his Hall of Fame bust for $14,000. Like, hell, I'd have bought that for $14,000. I mean, you call me crazy, but it's Joe Montana's personal Hall of Fame bust. His Hall of Fame jacket went for $36,000. This is a little surprising to me. Like, my thought. So when you hear this, like, when you hear all this, what's your thought? When you hear Montana,
is Joe broke? What's he doing?
Joe broke? That was exactly my thought. Is Joe Montana broke? Looked it up. Joe Montana's net worth, $150 million.
Dude,
what's $14,000 going to do for Joe Montana?
Especially for something like a Hall of Fame bust. And I get it. Maybe it doesn't mean it that much to some, but
you think his wife just wanted all of his crap out the house?
Could be.
Maybe they're downsizing later in life, empty nesters. I mean, I'm going. You're not saving this for your. They have kids. Does Montana have kids? I don't even know this. I guess I don't know too much about Joe Montana's personal life because since his playing days have ended, he's sort of not been a very public figure. But I'm looking at his personal life. Like, isn't that startling? $14,000 for his Hall of Fame bust. How did that not go for more?
I mean, that is kind of random to just have in your house.
Bro,
So just like a bust of Joe Montana.
Oh, my goodness. He resides in San Francisco, got an estate in Calistoga, which Calistoga is in Napa Valley. It's like the next little town north of where we stayed in St. Helena. Incredible. I was like right by Joe Montana. Does he have kids?
Could've bought some of his memorabilia.
Yeah. Oh, his son. That's right. His son played at Tulane.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Forgot about that.
Joe.
And like
They
all
have
of it,
four
too,
children. Dude. Alexandra, Elizabeth, Nick, and who's the other one? Nate and Nick.
He kept his rings, though?
I guess so. Unless he sold them prior.
Prior, yeah.
Really weird. Okay. Well, Joe Montana sold all his stuff. All of his stuff. All right. It's after further review. We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Hour 2. Pete Maravich's record set to fall. I want to give some perspective on it next. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com. Call the Williamson Eye Center. Go for that free consultation. Change your life. There's not many times where you could say, hey, do something that's going to change your life, and it's not hyperbolic. It gets very literally changing your life. Giving yourself the gift of sight is that. Look, if you're someone who genetically has great eyes, awesome, I'm pumped for you. I'm not. My whole family, genetically awful eyesight. I had glasses in the 6th grade. My dad, my brother, my sister, me, we've all had refractive procedures now. My dad had RK back in like 93. He's a patient of Dr. Blake Williamson's now. He had the lens replacement a couple of years ago. And I put off LASIK for many years until I met Dr. Blake Williamson. He explained why I was a great candidate, walked me through the process, and now, almost 5 years removed from my LASIK, I am thrilled, still seeing better than 2020. Call 924-2020 or go to williamsoneye.com.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Her heartbreak is palpable. She lost 3 children from a deadly drug overdose over the years. Tonight, she's fighting for reform efforts to stiffen penalties for those dealing the deadly drugs. Find out what she's doing in hopes of bringing a change and more accountability for the people putting the poison on our streets. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring. Wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
the best-kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is Sports.
I'm Kevin Winter here. He comes after saving par on 15 in round 1 of the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill. Jon Rahm just eagled the 16th hole. And Jon Rahm, who's been on absolute fire lately, has now vaulted to a tie atop the leaderboard in round 1. Working on a 5-under day. Jon Rahm has played even and pulled even with Chris Kirk and Cameron Young, who are into the clubhouse at 5-under after shooting 67s earlier this morning. Rahm is playing 17 with 18 still to go. Featured group, which, by the way, is Rahm's group, and feature hole coverage is available on ESPN+. Your leaderboard, Kirk, Young, and Rahm all at 5-under par. There's a group of golfers that is at 4-under. That group does include Scottie Scheffler and Jordan Spieth. The Lakers saying today that LeBron James and his foot injury are going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks. LeBron suffered the injury to a tendon in his foot in the comeback win over the Mavs on Sunday. Last night, without AD and LeBron, the Lakers beat the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Shut up, kid. Larry Holder in 15 minutes, by the way. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. As we mentioned, Larry Holder in 15 minutes from right now, we will talk some NFL, the quarterback shuffle. Larry and I have a long-standing bet about one Kyle Trask and whether or not he would become the starting quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Larry said yes. I say no. There was a bottle of whiskey on the line, and very surprisingly so, the odds seem to have shifted in Larry's favor. So we'll talk about that coming up shortly. I just checked in for my flight. Heading to Vegas tomorrow. UFC 285 Saturday night. Going to get to watch John Jones against Cyril Gane. Fired up about that. So Muse will be hosting tomorrow while I'm out. And then I promise I'm here for a while. Until I think later in March, there's 1 or 2 days I'm going to be gone at the end of the month. But had an opportunity to jump on a bird and go watch UFC 285. I'm going. So I'll be in that number at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas on Saturday night. So, I was really hoping Purdue-Fort Wayne was going to do us all a favor. They didn't. Detroit Mercy was playing Purdue-Fort Wayne in the first round of the Horizon League tournament, and the Detroit Mercy Titans took care of business, and in the process, Antoine Davis scored 38 points, meaning Antoine Davis is now just 26 points away from becoming college basketball's all-time leading scorer and breaking a record which Pistol Pete set 50 years ago. I'm really torn on this. There is this part of me that very, very selfishly wants this kid to lose tonight and score 24 points. And I think it's because we all revere Pistol Pete. I mean, we all know it. He played 3 years because freshmen couldn't play varsity, so he had 3 years of college basketball. 3 years without a three-point line. Averaged 44 points a game. Incredible. That points per game average, that I think it's safe to say will never be approached. That'll never be approached. But the circumstances have allowed Antoine Davis to be on the brink of history many of us thought would never come. Antoine Davis is playing his 5th year at Detroit Mercy. He came back for a 5th season, granted him because of the COVID year. So while Pete Maravich played 3 seasons and scored 3,667 points, a record that has stood since 1970, Antoine Davis is now in his 5th collegiate season. So he's had almost double the amount of games and is averaging half the amount of points, roughly. Davis, for his career, is averaging 25.5 points per game. Pistol Pete, of course, averaged 44.2. So Pete Maravich averaged roughly 19 points per game more than Antoine Davis has throughout his career. So that's kind of the bummer, is that I want Pete Maravich's record to stand forever. And I want the greatest scorer in the history of the game to hold that record forever, and for LSU to always be able to take ownership of it and hold it and never have it challenged. The flip side of it is what I always talk about. Records are made to be broken, and I love witnessing history. For example, and there have been pieces of history that I've watched and revered that have been their authenticity and legitimacy questioned. I've mentioned Barry Bonds breaking Hank Aaron's record. Not old enough to have watched Hank Aaron. I wasn't watching when Hank Aaron hit 715. But I watched when Barry Bonds hit 756 off Mike Bassick in San Francisco. Bassick of the Washington Nationals. I was watching. Watched it with my dad, sitting in his den. We could throw a big old asterisk next to that because we all know the steroid era, etc. So I'm torn because I feel like a hypocrite in cheering against Antoine Davis, but I'm admittedly very biased here that I don't want Pete Maravich's record to fall. And I was hoping that Purdue-Fort Wayne would beat Detroit Mercy in their opening round game, and that would end Antoine Davis's career, and he wouldn't set this record. The more I look into and read about Antoine Davis, though, I think he's a great young dude who's represented himself very well. He's coached by his father, Mike Davis. If that name sounds familiar, it should. Mike Davis was the head coach at Indiana, if you remember. He followed Bobby Knight. He became the first black head coach at Indiana and played for a national championship against Maryland in the 2002 NCAA tournament. So this is a guy that Mike Davis then became the coach at UAB. If you remember, after he was fired at Indiana, became the coach at UAB. He's now the coach at Detroit Mercy. I think he was at Texas Southern as well, and now he's at Detroit Mercy. And his son is playing for him and has now been playing for 5 years. Oddly enough, though, Davis last summer entered the transfer portal. He was going to go try to play at a Power 5 to see how he matched up against better competition, and he had some interest. BYU, Maryland were interested, but ultimately decided to stay at Detroit Mercy and play his final season under his father there in Detroit, and it's now has him on the brink of breaking Pete Maravich's record. And even if he doesn't do it tonight, but Detroit Mercy wins, he'll most certainly do it in the next game. So at this point, you have to assume that this record is going to stand, or that the record is going to fall, and Antoine Davis will be the record holder. But there's some other really interesting sort of layers to this story. As Davis has gotten more and more notoriety, he's been interviewed, he's talked a lot about actually learning how to dribble and pass from watching Pete Maravich videos on YouTube. Of course, his dad, Mike Davis, played the game, a student of the game, coached the game, knows of Pete Maravich, and sort of ushered his son toward Maravich videos to learn ball handling, which I think a lot of us, if you're an LSU fan, as a kid, when you were learning basketball, you probably watched the Pete Maravich instructional videos. Like, we had them on VHS in our house. I watched them all the time. I, however, never really grasped the ball handling or the shot making or any of the athletic things that go along with it. So there's a lot of respect there. Davis has also said that he respects the criticism about the record because he's got a 5th year. He essentially has that advantage. But this is what's interesting, and this is what I did not understand. While Davis has played in more games over more years, undeniably, he's also had fewer field goal attempts than Pete Maravich. Davis has 2,961 field goal attempts. Maravich 3,166. Now, the caveat is Pete Maravich did not have a 3-point line. We all know that. But Pistol Pete had roughly 200 more field goal attempts in 2 fewer years than Davis has. Maravich averaged 35 field goal attempts per game. So because he shot all the time, obviously, he scored much more. So while Davis has had more games, he's also going to do this with fewer field goal attempts. Again, yes, the 3-point line has been the differentiator. But he said he traded all for a chance to make the NCAA tournament for the first time in his career. I think ultimately, yes, records are meant to be broken. It's a cliche, but it's true. And there have been many instances over time of records that have fallen with different circumstances. I know everyone, when you think of O.J. Simpson, we think of him murdering 2 people. But if you think of O.J. Simpson, the football player, he rushed for 2,000 yards in a 14-game NFL season. O.J. Simpson should be the single-season rushing champ, or in my mind, had the best single season for a running back ever. That record has fallen. Of course, Eric Dickerson had a 16-game season to do it. Adrian Peterson came close a couple of years ago, had a 2,000-yard season. We've seen 2,000-yard seasons, but over 16 games. O.J. did it in 14. So that holds a lot more validity. And I think ultimately records are there to be judged and interpreted. The meaning of the record is interpreted by the collective. You get to decide how you interpret a record. And so, yes, I think for all of time, Antoine Davis is going to be most likely college basketball's all-time leading scorer. He's going to break a record many thought was unbreakable. And it took a pandemic and an extra year of eligibility to get him there. But 50 years from now, when people look at the record books, they're going to look at Pete Maravich averaging 44 points a game, and that likely will never be touched. And maybe that's the thing that Pete is remembered for more so than this record, or people will interpret however they want. But the two things can coexist and can coincide. They're not mutually exclusive. You can respect the fact that Antoine Davis has been a really great, consistent scorer for 5 years in college basketball and also appreciate what Pete Maravich was. Listen, I'm watching tonight. I'm hoping the kid don't break the record. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I hope Detroit Mercy loses and the kid scores 23. I mean, or 24. I hope that's what happens tonight. And Pete Maravich's record stands. That's likely not going to happen. And when the record falls tonight or in the next game for Detroit Mercy or whatever may happen, I hope that I'll be able to acknowledge Antoine Davis for doing something pretty incredible, but also still understanding Pete Maravich is the greatest scorer college basketball has ever seen. Let me know your thoughts. That's our Citizens Bank and Trust poll question of the day. If you go to Twitter at 1045ESPN. How did you word it, Muse, on the Twitter poll?
Will you acknowledge Antoine Davis breaking Pete Maravich's scoring record?
All right, so go to the at 1045ESPN on Twitter and vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll question of the day. All right, it is after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk some football with Cousin Larry, Larry Holder. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by HUDCO Roofing, HUDCORoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Tell you every single day. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCORoofing.com. From the smallest roof repair to the largest commercial roof replacement, HUDCO, we do it all. A couple of things to remind you about. August is going to be 2 years from Hurricane Ida. You have 2 years to file a claim. A lot of people, we see this every day. Our inspectors in the field see this every day. People still have damage from Ida, but never filed a claim. They never went through that process. You're getting close. So we'd love to give you a free, no-obligation roofing inspection. You can give us a call And the 225, the 504, the 318, the 337. Go to the website, hudcoroofing.com. You'll see the number at the top of the page. Find the one that is in your area code. Or you can fill out the contact form on the homepage at hudcoroofing.com. Tell you every single day. Do business with someone you know. That's us. That's Hudco Roofing. Online, hudcoroofing.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
I'll let it play a little bit there, Muse. Why not? A little ace of base. We don't get to hear it as much anymore. You know what I mean?
Used to be a weekly thing, man.
Then Larry decided to go get all highfalutin, all hoity-toity.
Big time.
Too good to be a Saints beat writer. I'm going to go cover the whole NFL now for The Athletic. And such and whatnot.
And stuff.
And stuff and things. And by the way, really rude children. Can you hit the drop? This drop that you hear every day?
You're a loser, Matt!
That's Larry's delightful young son. How are you there, Larry?
Look, I'm great, and which is going to be awesome because he is like Nostradamus with our bet. You are going to be a loser, Matt, with your boy. His name is Kyle Trask. He will end up being the starter. Yeah, he's going to end up being the starter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. and you are going to here's the thing. We can, if our listeners, your listeners, even though I'm on, our listeners.
Our.
Yes. If they don't remember from 3 years ago, we bet a bottle of bourbon. I gave it around $50. Like, you could pay it to me in, like, airplane bottles. It doesn't matter. Like, you could give me like 40 airplane bottles, and it would be glorious. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm willing to just. You can spend it how you want, but guess what, Matt? As my son said a long time ago, you're a loser, Matt.
Not yet.
You're a loser.
Not yet.
You will be. It doesn't matter. If he starts one game, it's it. Bye.
So that's what we need to. That's what I need to clarify. Was it if he just starts a game in the NFL? Was that the bet, or is it like if he is the guy?
The fact that you're asking me means you do not know the parameters of the bet. So I'm going to say yes.
I don't remember, and I was talking.
He could take one start, one snap, leave, and then I win. So how about that?
We're gonna go. And when I say we, I mean someone over there. One of the three guys over there is going to go dig this up because I'm not doing it. But I do want to know what the original parameter of the bet was. And by the way, I did find this tweet. And this was from April 30th of 2021. So I don't even remember the context of what was going on in April of 2021. Oh, maybe this was like,
I don't either.
Oh, this had to be after they drafted him. No, so this had to be after Tampa drafted.
Had to be, yes.
Okay.
That was, you and me had the debate because I kept telling you, I was like, look, guys I've talked to like Kyle Trask, and man, you were not down with that at all.
So you tweeted, I think at Matt Moscona's head will explode when Kyle Trask becomes the starter after Tom Brady and Tampa. Glorious. That was your tweet. Then I replied, here it is. I said, I'd actually love to see them make him the starter. Giving you a cheap bottle of whiskey in exchange for the Bucs reverting to irrelevance would be worth it. So I think I'm a winner either way. If Kyle Trask is starting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm pumped. And if he's not, you pay me whiskey.
Like I said, you could go get all the, whatever store you go to. I know Colangelo's is huge. I know that's
no. See, Colangelo, that was like that was a GM, Jerry Colangelo, right? You're talking about Calandros.
That too.
Is Taylor
Either
who
one,
comes on the show?
Potato, whatever. I don't live in Baton Rouge.
You go to Rouse's, of course. Rouse's has great whiskey selection as well. Great sponsors on the show. Go get your booze at Rouse's.
Yeah, not Jerry Colangelo's, but anyway, I got you.
Not him. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So you could get all these little plastic bottles and just line them up and just give them to me for like $50 worth. I mean, it's just going to happen.
Who do you think, if I asked you today, who will be the four starting quarterbacks in the NFC South next year? You had to answer it today. What would you say?
I don't have an answer for you.
Well, I'm not like going to nail you against the wall on this. It's a good exercise to say where we think things might play out at this point.
All right, so I'll just make some bold predictions.
Okay.
And they will definitely go wrong. I'll just start with Atlanta. I will just say Desmond Ridder.
Okay.
I'll feel sort of safe there. I mean, Kyle Trask is number one, no question. I mean, he might be the greatest quarterback in the history of America.
I'm going to laugh so hard when they actually go sign a free agent or draft somebody. And you're just sitting here. I'm going to play all this back and laugh at you.
Well, that's fine. I'm used to that in life. It's no big deal.
That's true. That's actually very true. But I will look forward to doing it to you.
I will say, and I know where we're getting to, I'm going to say Derek Carr for the Saints.
Okay.
And for Carolina, oh, my gosh. I really don't know. I feel like that's the worst part of the whole situation. Like, I don't know what Carolina's actually going to do. It's weird.
Pick. Ain't hard.
So I'm not going to say P.J. Walker. I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to – I mean, it's – meanwhile, you're hearing I'm, like, around a big, massive truck. But
that's okay.
Yeah, I don't – I think Carolina's the most unpredictable one of the bunch. I don't know what the heck they're going to do.
Anthony Richardson?
I feel like they could draft him, but are they going to start him right away? I don't know. I think they're certainly in the market for that, no question. But it just depends on what happens. I feel like what really throws an odd wrench into this whole thing is if someone's going to trade up for the number one pick, and then where does Jalen Carter fall because of what's happened with him and what's going on with him, because people assumed that he could be the number one pick overall regardless. And so that is throwing a wrench into what's going on, and I don't think we know yet. Look, we're going to have the same conversation, I know, you and me, in like a month and a half once we get closer to draft, but it's going to be, right now it is certainly hairy.
Larry Holder's with us. He's on Twitter at Larry Holder. You can read his stuff over at The Athletic. What do you think happens with Aaron Rodgers?
Can he just stay in the darkness? I'm good with that. Like,
I think he's already out. I think he's emerged from the darkness.
Yeah, let's just put him back there. I mean, I think they're gonna. I think the Packers and Aaron are gonna break up. Now, where does that end up remains to be seen. But I think, again, we're trying to prognosticate. Let me think. I think Jets. I think he's going to go kind of the same route that Brett Favre did, which is bizarre.
You think he goes to the Jets?
Yeah, I think he sees that as his best opportunity. But I think they're all of them, the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, they're both kind of positioning themselves to break up. And so that's what you want if you're a Saints fan. You want that to break up, Jets to trade for him, and then Derek Carr stays kind of alive in the sweepstakes, quote unquote. It depends how much you think this is actually a sweepstakes, but still, I think that's what you want, because I think Derek Carr, to me, doesn't matter who gets Aaron Rodgers though. I still think Derek Carr is the most stable of the options, because when you look at it, who's in free agency and who hasn't been tagged yet. I mean, Lamar Jackson has not been tagged yet. We assume he will. Daniel Jones, he has not been tagged yet, but we assume he will. And I would not be thrilled if Daniel Jones would be an option in the first place. Jimmy Garoppolo, free agent, certainly been banged up, but he's solid. But here's the thing. We're all talking about options of being like a solid quarterback. Like, the Saints are not going to get Aaron Rodgers. We're not even talking about that. So everything we got is at best solid, which, I mean, that's kind of where the Saints are, which is not optimal if you're a Saints fan.
Right. So what do you think is, or if I ask you, what is the Saints' ceiling with Derek Carr? What would you say?
They want him.
I get they want him, but I'm asking your opinion on the field. What is their ceiling on the field? Win-loss record, what can they achieve with Derek Carr?
It depends on how far they go in with money. I mean, if they don't want to dive in with money, that's the thing. I can give you my opinion.
Larry, that's what I want, your opinion. That's what we're doing here. Give me your opinion. Yes.
You're asking me if I'm the Saints. No. If you're asking
I'm asking you, Larry Holder. What do you think the New Orleans Saints ceiling? Can the Saints win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr? He's a
top 12 quarterback at best, in my opinion.
Can the Saints win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr? I feel like you're on trial, and I'm an attorney begging you to give me an answer to something. Why are you being so evasive with the Derek Carr question?
How about this? No.
Thank you. Okay, so if they cannot win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr, why spend the money on him?
Name me anyone available on the market that could help them win the Super Bowl. He's the best one you can get, that's the problem.
I know.
They're not there. So, that's the problem.
So draft one.
Well, I haven't listened to you enough lately.
Aww.
And I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I love you, but I haven't
listened
to you enough lately. But I have not heard your take on Hendon Hooker.
I love him.
I would love for him to be there. I really would. So, but I just think Derek Carr's ceiling is kind of what it is. He's a top 12 quarterback. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
When they brought in Drew Brees, did anyone think he would be a Super Bowl winning quarterback? No. But also, here's the difference, though. Who is going to develop in New Orleans a quarterback? Like, do you have any kind of faith that Pete Carmichael is going to develop a quarterback? Like, who's going to develop a guy? Like, that's the difference here. And Derek Carr has done this for a long time. It's not like you're getting Drew Brees off 5 years. Derek Carr's been doing it for a decade.
Drew Brees was 26 years old when he signed in New Orleans.
Right.
Derek Carr is almost 32. Like, that's the difference. Larry, I've said that I think Derek Carr right now is what Andy Dalton was when Cincinnati let him go. They were both 9 years into their careers. They had both had some success, but not great success. And we have seen Andy Dalton over the last 3 years be a vagabond. I think that's what Derek Carr is entering into. I think he is just going to he's going to continue to just step down for the remainder of his career. I don't know.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think Carr could be better than Dalton. I think Carr is better and has always been better than Dalton. I do. But how much better? It's not like exponentially better. So that's the thing. So like I said, in my opinion, at his best, he is a top 12 quarterback. Like, he's Kirk Cousins in my mind. I mean, does that make you feel good? Probably not. So that's at his best. So and it's not like the Saints have these great pieces around them. They don't. So that's another issue where he might not even pick the Saints. Like, he might say, hey, I'll go to the Jets. If the Jets bomb out and trying to trade for Aaron Rodgers, heck, you look at the Panthers, they might have better pieces to the puzzle than the Saints do.
Yeah.
So look, it's going to be hairy, like, for the next month for sure, and then it could go 2 months, and then you're like, all right, wait, the Saints are going to be relegated back to re-signing Andy Dalton, we know that they're not going to hang on to Jameis Winston. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, even so much so where they had the HBCU Legacy Bowl on the NFL Network, and the commentators basically, they said, hey, Jameis, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm still under contract with the Saints. They assumed he's gone. That's where they are. So this is not a good state where the Saints are at quarterback, which, as you know and I know, if you don't have one, you're done. You're not going to win anything without it.
Before you go, and I'm really short on time, but I do want to mention this. You have a piece up at The Athletic about Sean Payton and what it's going to be like for the Broncos playing for him. I would highly recommend anybody go read it. Talk to a whole bunch of former Saints players. The question I have, though, is do you think Sean Payton will win a Super Bowl in Denver?
No.
Okay.
No. He's not going to beat out Mahomes. No. Real quick. Like I said, nope.
What?
Nope.
Okay. He is Larry Holder. And I really feel like I'm going to be a winner either way, Larry. If Kyle Trask is starting in Tampa, great. Tampa stinks. If he doesn't and they have some other awful quarterback, great. You owe me whiskey. So I feel like it's going to go really well for me no matter how it all plays out.
I really just want the airplane bottles. We could take a picture of it. It'll be glorious.
Muse found it. Okay, Larry, I got to go to break. So we're going to say goodbye. But when we come back from break, we are going to play the original wager. Okay? So listen, if you're near radio, listen. We'll play it when we come back, all right?
Okay, I'll listen.
All right.
Got it.
Thank you, Larry. We appreciate the time. Be well.
All right, guys. Y'all take care.
All right, see you. When we come back, the original wager with me and Larry. Good. Look at you, Muse. All right, stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. Y'all, the madness is about to begin next week. Best place to watch it is at all the games is at Pluckers. Of course, LSU baseball returns to the box tomorrow. If you need a place before or after or a place to watch every LSU baseball game, Pluckers will have every LSU baseball game on TV all year long. Let me say that again slowly. Pluckers, both locations, will have every LSU baseball game on TV all year long. That thing in Round Rock last week, they had it. The Longhorn Network game on Tuesday, they had it. Pluckers will have every LSU baseball game on TV all year long. Remember, tonight and every Thursday, all you can eat boneless buffalo bites. Pay one low price. Eat as many as you want. That's at Pluckers. 2 locations. Eat wings, drink beer, watch sports on TV. Pluckers, you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green. This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, Muse found it. I'm pretty pumped about this. He found the original wager between me and Larry about Kyle Trask. I do have on the rundown here that we were going to talk about the Pelicans beating Portland last night. So to stay consistent with the rundown, Muse, give me graph. Just give me graph. Any graph.
Clock's your friend. Shot clock at 5. Ingram looking for the dagger. Pulls up from 10 off the glass. In and out and back in again. That might do it.
And that did it. The Pels won.
Did it. 40 points from BI. Shout out.
Shout out BI. Does that sufficiently cover our we talked about the Pelicans in this segment?
I think so, yeah.
How about Willie Green, number 1, Muse? Big.
Every win is a crucial win for us coming down the stretch of the season. So tonight,
no difference. Our guys went out and they took one.
Okay, they took one.
Love it.
And anything else we have to? We have to cover DraftKings, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Right now, new customers download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the promo code Baton Rouge, make a $5 money line bet. $5 money line bet. If you hit, they'll give you $150 in free bets just like that. Stepped up same game parlays available to everyone. It's the DraftKings Sportsbook. This is the best time of year, man. We all love football, of course, but March Madness, when everybody bets on every game, even when you don't know the teams, that's so much fun. Do it at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And remember, you can get your little nest egg together by taking advantage of that great promo right now. Even if you use another app already, download the DraftKings app right now and take advantage of the special to get $150 in free bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. One word, Baton Rouge. Use the promo code Baton Rouge at the DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus issued as free bets. Opt-in required. One free bet issued based on amount of initial losing NBA bet. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. Okay. So, this would have... All right, first, Muse, how did you know where to look?
So, that's a great question, actually. When you said 2021... I went into my folder at first, because the draft, April 21, when you brought up that tweet.
Yes.
And that was when I had just come back on the show, so I only had 3 dates from April, so I went to Haldane's folder. Shout out, Brain.
Brain, shout out.
Yeah, you like that?
Oh, wait, put it back up again, because you...
I had to fade her down, my bad.
Yeah, go ahead.
I went to Haldane's folder. Shout out, Brain.
Do it again. Love it.
And I found an interview in there where y'all mentioned October. So I went to October of 2020. But one of the interviews I found said we have a standing bet, so I just went back to September, and it was on September 29th, 2021. That's 2020, excuse me, September 29th, 2020.
What was it labeled as in the folder?
Larry Holder, 9/29.
Oh, just the interview.
That was when we used to pull each individual interview too.
Oh, so that helped.
Yes, that did help. That helped a lot.
Oh,
but I kind of knew that just based on the timetable.
Okay.
So I skimmed through 6 Larry interviews while you were interviewing him.
But you found that in less than 10 minutes, basically.
Yeah.
I would have had to go back to every Larry Holder interview, searching, listening, which is why I wasn't going to do it. So I was going to
Your tweet helped. You having that tweet.
Good.
That helped because that gave me a starting point.
Okay, good. All right. So, if you're just joining, Larry Holder of The Athletic was with us. Larry, for several years, was a regular Tuesday guest on this show. As a Saints columnist, he came on, we talked Saints. Well, Larry now, he moved within The Athletic to cover the NFL as a whole, so he doesn't come on as frequently. Still love him. His son is the little cretin who yelled this.
You're a loser, man!
I'm sure he's a delightful kid. I don't mean to call him. I'm sure he's a delightful
Such a
kid.
good word,
I don't want Mrs. Holder pissed at me for calling her son a cretin on the radio. But it actually is a very funny video. The kid's dancing around the den,
holding the L. Yeah.
Throw up the L, Matt. Where the L, Matt? God, what's wrong with these children? Anyway, Larry Holder is their father. That's what's wrong with the children. So Larry and I, during the 2020 season, apparently were debating Kyle Trask's pro potential. He liked Kyle Trask very much. I did not. And so, are we playing this in full? How long is it?
I was going to. It's a minute 24.
So this is a minute and a half. All right, here we go. Let's hear it. I mean, he might be on a he might be on a roster somewhere. He will not be a starting NFL quarterback.
Ooh, mark it down.
Okay, mark it down. Hey, think about your wager. Think about something. Kyle Trask will not be a starting NFL quarterback. You can mark it down right now. I'm happy to go round and round on that, whatever. If you tell me what you want to wager, if I'm wrong, I'll eat it. Everything I say is recorded. It's not like I can hide from any prediction. There's still people bringing up me picking Notre Dame to beat Alabama in the 2012 championship game. Yeah, I said it. I was wrong. I took a shot. What the hell? I was wrong. Okay.
Let's go a mid-range bourbon.
Fair. What's mid-range for you?
Like $50.
$50, done. $50 bourbon, done.
But how long does this bet last? 10 years?
Look, what are your parameters?
You said ever, so what do you want me to tell you?
Like, would he ever start a game? I mean, who the hell's the kid Rippin from Boise State's going to be starting a game on Thursday night? I mean, I guess pigs could fly and eventually Trask could start a game somewhere. I mean, we've seen Dan Orlovsky started games in this league. Could he start a game somewhere along the way? Okay, but he's never going to be a consistent starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't see it.
Let's go 3 years if he's not a consistent starter at OU.
Oh, that's where you cut it.
IOU, yeah. Because then he went into just something else. So, yeah, IOU. If he's not a consistent starter within 3 years of the league, IOU. This is year 3.
You know what would suck so much? If he does start, let's say he starts at the beginning of the season, right? And maybe starts a few weeks, and Larry claims he wins, and then Trask goes to the bench and never plays again. Would he have been a consistent starter in the league?
Well, that's the thing. I think y'all need to put a game number on it.
But see, I don't even think it's a game number because I think like even after, because this season feels like will be a one-off for Tampa.
So would that fall into not consistent? Like if he starts all 17 games this year, but in 2024 is not their starting quarterback anymore and is back on a bench?
I don't see that happening.
You don't see what happening? His 17 games?
If he starts all 17 games,
okay,
then he will have established himself as someone who is a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. Think of a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick was a journeyman, but started a lot of games in the NFL because he was a capable starting quarterback. By contrast, Chase Daniel. Chase Daniel is a career backup who at times who stayed around the league for a long time and at times has had to play here or there, but has never become, he is a career backup quarterback. And Kyle Trask, I think, is more Chase Daniel than he is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Kyle Trask may bounce around the league for a decade, backing up people. He's not going to start in the league for a decade. But with the context of that bet is by year 3, he has to be a consistent starter. He has not started a game. Obviously, he's backing up Tom Brady. Maybe he's the starter this year, and if he is, we'll see how the year plays out. But I'm glad we have that. So thank you, Muse, for finding that. We have the original parameters. And by the way, there's me saying everything's recorded. I don't hide from nothing, y'all. If I said it, it's recorded. We'll find it. I'll own it. The only problem is none of y'all ever want to say when I actually get something right. That's all right, though. Where the hell, Matt?
You're a loser, Matt!
Oh, what a delightful child. All right, it's after further review. Muse will have Tigers, and that's okay. We're brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001. 752-0001. 752-0001. Oh, Larry texted me. I wonder who he wants. Preseason AC tune-up. Y'all, it's time. It's 85 degrees today. We're using our ACs. Make sure you call River City's 1 Hour Air. Have them come out for the preseason AC tune-up. Before it gets to be triple digits on the heat index every day for months, make sure your home central AC is ready for that. Make sure it's cleaned, it's tuned up, it's ready to do all the heavy lifting throughout the summer months here in South Louisiana. Call River City's 1 Hour Air. Mention the Moscona special. They'll knock $25 off the preseason AC tune-up when you call River City's 1 Hour Air. Call them today. 752-0001. 752-0001. You'll see the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
What a good day to finally be out of the office. Is that this? A Skag mower. Okay, living the good life I see. Not gonna lie, I'm a little jealous. It's just like driving a throne. It's gorgeous. A beautiful piece of machinery right there.
The moment you know you want a Skag. Skag. Simply the best.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Wrapping up hour number 2, Kendall Rogers in about 20 minutes from right now. But right now, Musso has Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
A couple things to highlight in the NBA here before we get to some Major League Baseball. Cam Thomas bounced back from a slow night. 24 minutes, 15 points for Cam on just 13 shots. Was also 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Tari Eason in his quest for 3 straight double-doubles fell just short, had the 10 points, lacked the rebounds, just 7 of them. It came in 25 minutes, also blocked 3 shots, so Tari still got the defensive presence. If you were watching Pels Blazers last night, you saw a pretty good effort from Trendon Watford on the other side. Got 30 minutes in the game. That had him as the third leading minute man, actually, for Portland. Average 8 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. So he kind of stuffed the stat sheet. Really nice night for Trendon Watford. Okay, baseball to get to here. DJ LeMahieu for the Yankees. No, he did not go there. We've established this. But he did go 1 for 2 yesterday at the top of the Yankee lineup in a 4-2 win over the Nationals. So that was his first action of the spring. He's hitting 500. I don't think he's in a new jeopardy of not being there with the Yankees when the season starts. Josh Smith. There you go. Yeah, oh, wait, I forgot. I had it queued up and didn't do it. DJ LeMahieu. Had it queued up and forgot.
That's all right.
My bad.
You got to knock off the rust.
It's spring training for all of us, right?
It's spring training for all of us.
Okay, Josh Smith. Yeah, there it is. He's with the Rangers, one of 2 Rangers teams. Drew a walk yesterday, did go 0 for 2 outside of that. He's hitting 125, but made a fantastic play at shortstop yesterday, robbing a hit. If you're watching, you'll see it. I mean, ranges towards third, deep in the hole, fires across the diamond and putting time. It actually fooled the cameraman. Did you see that, Matt? They thought he was going to second. And they, paused. But no, he took the long throw and smoked the guy.
Sucker. Got it.
Smoked the guy.
Smoked him.
Very
I wonder if
versatile.
Josh Smith is going to play short this year.
I mean, they've had him in left as well, for what it's worth, in spring training.
No third?
No third.
Okay.
Just short and left is what I've seen. Maybe I missed the day. And then lastly, just to shout out Jacob Berry. He's on the spring training roster for the Miami Marlins. Got the invite after just 1 year. Makes sense. I mean, he was a top 5 pick. Had his first action yesterday. Did go 0 for 1 just in a pinch hit at bat and then winning the game at third base. Oh, yeah, PGA Tour. Sam Burns did not play well today. It was actually very ugly. My app just disappeared. I don't have his exact score. He was 3 over at one point. Didn't go well. That's Tigers and Pros.
And you hate Curtis Thompson.
He's not playing in the Arnold Palmer.
Where is he playing?
Ben Taylor is. My app wouldn't have gone complete. I could have had that
Where
full.
is he playing?
I didn't look.
Yeah, you didn't look because you hate him.
Ben Taylor's even through his day, and Sam Burns finished at 5 over. That's Tigers and the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. You owe Curtis Taylor a piece of jewelry.
You mean Curtis Thompson? You don't even know his name. You don't even know his name, Matt. What are you talking about? You hate Curtis Thompson. Look at that.
I said Curtis Taylor.
Yeah.
What happened to my headphones? My headphones unplugged. Oh no, Curtis Taylor.
Uh-oh. Okay, never mind.
What?
I thought the system froze. It did it.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Traction, where champions are made. Was at Traction this morning working out with Tev. Man, y'all get on by if you want your son or daughter to be their best. Train where the pros train. That's at Traction. What a resource in Baton Rouge. But not just Traction Sports Performance. Also remember Traction Sports Therapy. They got a PT clinic right there on the campus. If you're injured and you need physical therapy, you choose your physical therapy clinic. Your doctor doesn't tell you where to go. You get to pick. So go where pros go to rehab. Go to Traction. Traction Physical Therapy right there on the Traction campus on Burbank. It's about getting the athlete in all of us back in the game. If you play golf, if you like to jog or swim, maybe even play pickleball, whatever it is, if you need to get back to your healthy, active lifestyle, Traction Physical Therapy can help you do it right there on Burbank. You learn more at TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Her heartbreak is palpable. She lost 3 children from a deadly drug overdose over the years. Tonight, she's fighting for reform efforts to stiffen penalties for those dealing the deadly drugs. Find out what she's doing in hopes of bringing a change and more accountability for the people putting the poison on our streets. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
This is Sports.
I'm Kevin Winter, round one of the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill this afternoon. And finishing up right now, the story is Jon Rahm. First off, here's Jon Rahm's season so far. He wins the Century Tournament of Champions at Kapalua. He wins the American Express at PGA West, the stadium course in La Quinta. He then wins the Genesis Invitational a couple of weeks ago. What does Jon Rahm do today? Rahm is playing the 15th hole, 2 shots back at 3 under par in round 1. Chips out, but gets up and down for par. Then on 16, eagle, the par 5. 17, birdie. 18, birdie. Jon Rahm comes home 4 under par over the final 3 holes at 7 under. He will head to the second round with a 1-shot lead over Kurt Kitayama. Coverage tomorrow of the featured groups, including Rahm, and the featured holes will be available on ESPN+. Light night in the association. Lakers are not one of the 4 games that are in action. Lakers do say LeBron James is going to be reevaluated this foot injury coming up in 3 weeks.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay, and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Come join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Who? And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball, going to join us every Thursday here throughout baseball season. That's coming up in 15 minutes from right now. I read a 2022 NFL mock draft that had Malik Willis going number 2 overall. That was at NFL.com. Mel Kiper's final mock draft last year had Malik Willis going 20th overall. Todd McShay's final mock draft a year ago had Malik Willis going 20th overall to Pittsburgh. Consensus first-round pick, as high as number 2. Malik Willis went 86th overall in round 3. 2013. Remember Geno Smith? Remember that situation? Matt Miller mocked Geno Smith number 2 overall in his final mock draft, number 2 overall. Todd McShay in his final mock draft had Geno Smith number 6 overall. Mike Mayock had Geno Smith number 6 overall. Geno Smith sat very uncomfortably in the green room at that draft and went undrafted in round 1. Came back the next day wearing just like a sweater and went 39th overall and promptly fired his agent. Brady Quinn. Brady Quinn was mocked as high as number 2 to Detroit. Mel Kiper on the draft night broadcast, when the Detroit Lions were on the clock with the number 2 overall pick, said this is a great spot for Brady Quinn. Detroit picked Calvin Johnson. And Kuiper said on the broadcast, I don't know why they wouldn't take Brady Quinn there. Brady Quinn went 22nd overall. That's not to knock the draft analysts. I love mock drafts. I love draft analysts. I love going through it all. And there's strikes and gutters. We all swing and miss, and sometimes we swing and connect. Basically, everyone last year had Chris Olave to the Saints. Strikes and gutters. I give you that preface as a bit of a backdrop before I tell you what I'm about to tell you. Because had I not prefaced it, you would have completely disregarded what I'm about to tell you. So understand, I just gave you a list of quarterbacks who were mocked in the top 5, top 10, who went much later than they were projected. Jordan Schultz on Twitter today reported, Florida standout quarterback Anthony Richardson will undergo medical testing today in Indy. I'm told he's met with the following teams, among others, including several owners as well. The Colts, the Panthers, the Falcons, the Raiders, the Ravens, the Saints, and the Patriots. So before you go roll your eyes and say, Saints aren't drafting Anthony Richardson, he's going number 1 overall, or he's not getting past Carolina at 9, or whatever you say, you might be right. You might be right. This is a quarterback-starved league. Not the right way to say it. This is a quarterback-driven league where being a champion necessitates having an elite-level quarterback. And Anthony Richardson maybe has a great week in Indy, and maybe he blows up the combine, and maybe he goes number 1 overall, or maybe he goes 4, or maybe he goes 9, or whatever. But I just gave you a whole bunch of quarterbacks who you could have said the same thing. Yeah, Brady Quinn's not going to be there. Yeah, Malik Willis isn't going to be there. Nah, Geno Smith's not going to be there. Lamar Jackson, last pick around 1. Not going to be there. And they were all there. That's why you do your due diligence. It's why you dot every I, you cross every T. You are negligent if you are not exploring every possibility. And then, of course, there's also the possibility of trading up for a player if someone does start to fall. It's a reminder of why, if you're the Saints, you do your due diligence and you get to know the player. Because the only certainty in this whole conversation is that if you're the New Orleans Saints and you don't find an elite quarterback, you're not winning at a high level again. That much is a certainty. We can all have the conversation about who that elite quarterback is. Can Derek Carr be that guy? Can Anthony Richardson be that guy? Can Hendon Hooker be that guy? Is it just going to be a bridge until you can find that guy in next year's draft or the following or so on? Don't know. Like that, we can debate. What is not debatable is you've got to go find an elite quarterback somewhere to be able to win a championship again in the NFL. We've had a lot of conversations about Derek Carr. Dennis Allen spoke to Taryn Wack of NOLA.com of Derek Carr and said, of course, drafted him in 2014. Said, quote, I think he's highly competitive. He's highly intelligent. He's got great work ethic. He's an outstanding leader. Those are all the qualities I like about him. And those are qualities we like in our quarterback position. We'll certainly let that process take place, but we like the player. So that's one of the first on-the-record comments that Dennis Allen has made about Derek Carr and the Saints' pursuit of him, which I think is notable. But as we've talked about often here, it's very clear the Saints covet Derek Carr. It's not clear that Carr reciprocates to that level. And if he has options, the Saints likely aren't his first. But it begs the question as to whether or not there is a path to win without being elite to win a Super Bowl at quarterback. Here's what I mean. Can you be average, not completely bombing and landing a top 5 pick to get that quarterback, and find your elite quarterback? For example, Kansas City drafted Patrick Mahomes. They were 11-5 the year before they drafted Patrick Mahomes. We forget that. Like, there was a time a few years prior, in 2012, when they were the worst team in the NFL. And in 2013, they drafted first overall, and they drafted Eric Fisher. Well, of course, then they brought in Andy Reid, and they were 11-5 the year they drafted Patrick Mahomes. They traded up to take him 10th overall, jumping ahead of New Orleans. The Rams traded up to draft Jared Goff. The Eagles, when they moved up and took Carson Wentz 2nd overall in 2017, they were, or 2015, or 2015, they were 7-9. They were 7-9 the year before they drafted Carson Wentz. They didn't bomb out, is my point. They were in a situation kind of like where the Saints are right now. And had the Saints kept their pick, they'd be drafting in a spot this year to potentially take maybe Anthony Richardson or Will Levis or someone along those lines. So I keep looking at it saying, do the Saints have to bottom out? Do they have to have the 3 or 4 win season and draft in the top 5 to get that elite level quarterback? And maybe not. Tampa won a Super Bowl. Now they landed Tom Brady in free agency. Denver won a Super Bowl. They landed Peyton Manning in free agency. And there have been outliers like Seattle, which won a Super Bowl after drafting Russell Wilson in round 3. They never bottomed out. Philadelphia didn't bottom out. They moved up to take Carson Wentz, and that might be the Saints' recourse. You're bad enough to draft in the top 5 and take a great player. Next year might be Caleb Williams, might be Drake May. I don't know who the guy will be next year. Those are 2 guys that are safe bets to be in everybody's top 5. But maybe you have another year where you're 7-10 and you pick somewhere around the top 10 and you have an opportunity to move up to get that quarterback. But really your 2 options are you have to hit on a quarterback somewhere later in the draft, like Seattle did with Russell Wilson, or oddly, Philadelphia with Nick Foles, who went on the run that they did. Or you've got to be willing to move up to get your elite quarterback, like the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. There's always risk. You could always swing and miss. You could be the Bears, who moved up to take Mitchell Trubisky 3rd overall and whiff. That's always a possibility. But the certainty is you're not going to win without an elite quarterback, and an elite quarterback isn't just going to fall in your lap. You either have to be bad enough to draft at that spot, or you have to be aggressive enough to move up to go get him. And I'm just telling you, I'm not saying for sure Anthony Richardson is that guy. I'm not sure the Saints are going to want him. I'm not sure they'll be in a position to get him. But this is why you do your due diligence, because maybe that guy is the next Geno Smith or Malik Willis or Brady Quinn or Aaron Rodgers, the guy who everyone thinks is going to go in the top 5 or top 10 and has a long wait on draft day. And if that circumstance unfolds, maybe the Saints are in position to make a move and get a guy that could be their answer. That's why I love the draft. All right, it's after further review. We'll talk some baseball at Kendall Rogers when we return. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, Siega near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. You know where they are, y'all. It is time. Temps are in the 80s right now. It is time to get in the garden. It is time to just plant something. It is time to go buy those rose bushes, those citrus or fruit trees that you love to plant. This is the time to get them in the dirt. You want that sort of farm-to-table feel, that fresh produce feel. You can plant your own vegetable garden right at your home. Fun thing for the whole family to do, and Clegg's has Johnny Naylor seeds. It's the best place to go. It's Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Clegg's has been serving Baton Rouge for more than 60 years. They're partnered with True Value Hardware Store, so anything you'd find at a True Value Hardware Store, you'll also find at Clegg's Nursery. They have an amazing selection of helpful staff, and let me remind you, if your lawn is starting to green up but it's got brown spots and weeds, Clegg's can help. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green. This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball Managing Editor, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes, as he will on Thursdays here throughout the baseball season. How are you, man?
I am doing fantastic. I was wondering there for a little bit if you had forgotten about me or something.
So last week I was out of town, and the opening week of the season was super weird, Kendall, because if you remember, LSU switched up their game times, and so it threw everything off for us. And we ended up having Wes Johnson on that Thursday in that slot before.
Well, I guess that takes precedent.
Yeah, I think we took it. So anyway, but I'm excited to get rolling to be able to do this weekly. Hey, LSU, of course, was in the Round Rock Classic. You guys do a great job putting that on. I'm just curious your overall impression seeing the Tigers in that 3-game weekend.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is I always like to see how teams handle adversity early on in the season. And I think when you look at LSU, they play well in the opener. They didn't play great against Iowa, obviously. But I think when you look at the way they closed out the weekend, I think if you're an LSU fan, you come away from that going, hey, I feel pretty good about this team. You know, we finished the weekend with a really good offensive game. You go into Texas and you kind of have to grit your way to the Tuesday game. And then in the ninth inning, you get obviously the big home run from Gavin Dugas, and you win the game. So I think when you look at LSU, you kind of won games a few different ways. You had to win games a few different ways, and that's a good sign for this team moving forward. I just think the Iowa game was just one of those clubs. And I tell you what, Matt, Iowa's going to be one of those teams that could very well win the Big Ten. They're, when you look at their rotation, I mean, they've got 3 really solid starters. They've got a really good closer. They've got a solid position group. So I think a lot of LSU fans look at Iowa and go, well, how dare we lose that team like that? But I think you're going to see those guys in the postseason at the end of the year.
Kendall, there's a couple of ways to spin the game at Texas. And even the Iowa game and striking out 11 times against Sam Houston, Texas specifically, you say, well, look, you're concerned about the strikeouts, or the other way to spin it is, hey, man, even when your offense isn't great, you still find a way to win behind pitching and defense. Which is it for you with LSU right now?
Well, I have zero doubt LSU is going to hit a lot this year. I mean, I think that's like the last thing I'm worried about. So, yeah, there were a lot of strikeouts. And, and I'll say this, too, about Texas, is LeBaron Johnson's a really talented pitcher. He's one of those guys that, I've kind of felt like last year should have had a larger role for them. He's got electric stuff, as you kind of saw against LSU.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think from my standpoint, I think I look at it especially when you look at that splitter and his fastball, and you go, hey, that dude's just a really good pitcher. And we just, we didn't have a great day because that guy had great stuff that day. So I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that LSU is going to hit a lot. And I think pitching-wise, I think you have to like what you got from your arms in that game. I think if you look at the rest of the weekend, obviously, I think the biggest thing for me as I look ahead to SEC play is, will Riley Cooper, be a weekend starter throughout the SEC? I think in a perfect world, when you look at the quality of the stuff, I think you really want Thatcher Hurd to pan out as a potential weekend guy. I think if you can get an arm like that with a 3,000 spin rate on his breaking ball in the rotation, I just think that bodes much better in the SEC than a guy like Cooper. But that's why I write, and that's why Jay Johnson coaches.
Well, but I think a lot of people share that sentiment. And honestly, Kendall, I think Jay said it. He said, look, Thatcher Hurd is going to start meaningful games for this team, and for them to get where they want to go, he's going to have to do that. I think everyone understands the talent, what he needs to be on this team. How they get there will be interesting to watch as they move into this weekend and closer to conference play. Is there any other, across the landscape of the SEC, Kendall, maybe surprises through 2 weeks, good or bad?
I think there's some bad surprises. I mean, I think if you look at A&M, for instance, I mean, for those guys to lose a series against Portland and almost get swept, I mean, they got lucky they didn't get swept in that series. So I think for them, this is a big weekend for them. I mean, they have Louisville and Texas Tech, 2 of 3 games this weekend in Houston and Minute Maid. They need a big weekend. If they don't have a big weekend, they go into SEC play in pretty iffy shape overall. So I would say they're a disappointment for me. I think in the quality category, I continue to really like what teams like Alabama and Wake Forest are doing against inferior competition, because I think the thing is when you look at clubs overall, it's one thing to play a schedule that's not great, but it's another, I think, the way you win those games. And if you look at those 2 clubs, those are 2 clubs we thought would take big steps forward this year, and they're absolutely obliterating teams right now. So that's kind of caught my attention. But, Ole Miss is the other interesting one for me. They're very similar to Arkansas right now. Arkansas may lose Brady Tiger for the year after losing Jackson Wiggins for the year. Yeah. And Ole Miss, they lost Hunter Elliott for the year, their Friday guy, and they lost Josh Mallett, their closer for the year. So you can have, Ole Miss and Arkansas be two really good offensive clubs who are mirror images of each other because of their injuries on the mound. So I would keep an eye on those 2 teams moving forward because of those injuries. We read so Wiggins, we know from Arkansas, their Friday night guy, he's done for the year with Tommy John.
Mm-hmm. Elliott, they said, was a UCL strain. They're thinking maybe mid-April to get him back.
I mean, the latest I heard on that was 50-50, and I'll tell you what, wow. I will be very honest with you. 95% of the time someone tells me 50-50, the result is not great. Put it this way, Grant Taylor, I was told, was 50-50.
Okay.
So that gives you an idea. But I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yes, of course. Well, I was going to say I hope you don't. But no, yes, of course. We want the kid to be healthy, naturally. But LSU, oddly, Kendall, I had to look it up today. LSU plays Ole Miss in Oxford April 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So that would be right about the time that Elliott would be returning. And look, he's a phenomenal player. So obviously, I'm being tongue-in-cheek. I want him to be healthy and have a great.
He will not be back. I'm just telling you right now.
Okay, interesting. All right. Kendall Rogers is with us. He's on Twitter at Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball. Make sure you sign up, subscribe over there. A lot of people, of course, were maybe introduced to D1 Baseball this past weekend with all the streaming broadcasts.
Oh, boy.
Great. No, it's a great resource for college baseball. Hey, man, look, you're never going to please every fan, so whatever. But I thought,
hey, here's the thing. The first 2 innings of the first LSU game, I was just like, oh, my God, this cannot be happening. Thankfully, everything kind of smoothed out, but I totally get it. I got a lot of hate mail from, with like Niceville. I think I got like 40 emails from Denham Springs. That's the first time that's ever happened.
Well, I was on a plane to Napa during the first game. So
look at you. You get the big promotion. You go to Napa. I like it.
I was there last year too. So no, that's just take your time when you can take your time, right? I mean, Mardi Gras here.
Amen.
Ken, it was hilarious because everyone in California was like, "Isn't it Mardi Gras? Why aren't you?" I'm like, no. everyone from Louisiana leaves when they go to Disney or they go skiing or they come here or something like that. So no, that's just the way the calendar falls sometimes. Other big picture college baseball landscape things. What are through 2 weeks? What are some of the big takeaways across the landscape of college baseball?
I think the really interesting thing for me is the home runs hit. Right now we're at about 2,200, home runs hit through 3 weeks. And if you look back at last year, we were at about 1,500. So the number of home runs to me is very interesting. I think a lot of coaches last year thought, we were dealing with juice balls. And I think we're obviously dealing with maybe even more juice balls this year or the weather. The weather is a little bit warmer than it was last year at this time of year. But, the fact that we're up 600 home runs during the same time period, a couple of years ago is mind-blowing, really. So I think that's the biggest thing for me. I think the other thing for me is just the tampering in Tennessee situation. I just think when you look at Tennessee overall, this is a program that I wrote this last week. This is a program that needs some normalcy. The culture they have right now is not sustainable at an elite level. You can't be in the situations where, your players are always dramatic. You think back to last year, to the end of the year, you had the situation with, Evan Russell, where all of a sudden he just like misses a game in the regional, vanishes, like nobody's heard from him. Now you got the Tony Vitello situation to where he gets suspended for a weekend for tampering with Maui Ahuna. I just think Tennessee, that's the other big story for me, is like, once again, they're like the bad boys of college baseball. And I think there's something to be said for embracing that kind of that label, but it's another to totally lean into it. And right now Tennessee's leaning into it, and it's gonna cost them at some point big time.
Kendall, maybe you could argue it did last year in the Super Regional against
Absolutely
Notre Dame.
It did.
But,
no, it may be even worse this go around if they don't watch it.
All right, last thing for you. I don't know anything about Butler or Central Connecticut, which are coming into the box this weekend. What can you tell us about those two teams?
Well, I can tell you that Butler's typically a pretty decent team. I think when you look overall, Blake Beamer's a really good coach. He's a guy that was a really talented assistant at Ball State. He moved over to Butler, and he's a really good X's and O's guy. So I'll be very honest. I don't know a ton about them, but I do know he's a really good coach, and nothing would surprise me from those guys. And Central Connecticut, if you look back at the last, 10 or 11 years, I bet they've been to the regionals 2 or 3, 4 times. So, and I remember they had Arkansas on the ropes about 2 or 3 years ago in Fayetteville in the 1-4 game. So, you never really know what you're going to get from those northern teams. It's early in the season, and sometimes it can be a little scary.
LSU's got a 4-game weekend, Friday to Monday. Of course, you can cover everything over there at d1baseball.com. Great podcast as well. If you love college baseball, there's no better place, no better hub to get all of your college baseball news than at D1 Baseball, d1baseball.com. He's Kendall Rogers on Twitter, at Kendall Rogers. Give him a follow, and he'll be with us here on Thursdays. Man, we appreciate you. Thanks as always.
You got it, brother. Congrats on that promo, on that promotion, by the way. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it very much.
All right, Matt. Be good, bud.
Thanks, buddy. We'll talk next week. That's Kendall Rogers. Does an awesome job. AFR is brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, home of the Charlie's Dozen, where every time you buy tires at Shaw Bills, they extend to you a dozen benefits to you, to your vehicle, to every vehicle in your family, like free tire repairs, free balancing for the life of the tires, free tire rotation. It pays to do business at Shaw Bills and to trust a great local company that's been around for more than 50 years that treats you like family. That's Shaw Bills. And remember, you've also got Charlie's price match guarantee. So you buy tires at Shaw Bills, you see tires advertised for a lower price anywhere, Shaw Bills will match it. ShawBillsTire.com. Cheaper than the big box stores, cheaper than the membership clubs, cheaper than other tire prices. They guarantee it. It's Shaw Bills. Go to the website, schedule service. You can shop tires online. It's all right there. Chat with an associate with their helpful chat function. It's at ShawBillsTire.com. 18 locations, the newest in LaPlace. It's Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Been a really good show. Appreciate you for hanging out with us here. Remember, if you miss anything, AFR on demand. We did talk about Alvin Kamara. If you missed it, Kamara has been, he's pleaded not guilty to the charges in Las Vegas. Court date has been set for July 31st. That'll be during Saints camp. We opened up with that today. We did talk about, Jay Johnson previewed the weekend and spent a good bit of time talking also about Pete Maravich's record, which is set to fall tonight. And if not tonight, then we're very likely looking at the next Detroit Mercy game as Antoine Davis is set to break the record that stood for more than 50 years now, that Pete Maravich set, the NCAA all-time scoring record. And I do want to, we'll check the results of the poll question when we come back and get the absolute latest update on that. 7 o'clock tonight, it looks like Pete Maravich's record is going to fall. And so we'll talk about it and get some of your reaction when we return. We're glad you're with us here. It is a, a Thursday edition of AFR presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. We'll knock out a quick break and continue next.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's. Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. You can go to rouses.com. More than 60 locations along the Gulf Coast, and Rouse's has crawfish, boiled live at their in-house boiling rooms every single day. That's at Rouse's. Hey, also remember, Rouse's has their 48-hour sale going on right now. As a matter of fact, go to the website. You'll see on the crawl on the homepage of the website, the 48-hour sale. You can get all of the details, like boneless chicken breast for $1.44 a pound, baby back pork ribs for $1.97 a pound. You can get USDA whole ribeyes for $6.99 a pound. Are you kidding me? You got to get to Rouse's. It's the 48-hour sale today and tomorrow. Only it ends Friday night. So you got to get to any of the Rouse's locations. The 48-hour sale going on right now through Thursday and Friday. And, of course, they got crawfish. Tomorrow's a Friday in Lent. Make sure you get your crawfish at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
What the? Is that a skag? You've got to be kidding me. Look at those stripes. Oh, and that comfy seat. It's like he's riding on a cloud. We get it, Gary. Your stripes look perfect.
The moment you know you want a skag. Skag. Simply the best.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Water.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Muse, do us a favor here and update the poll question if you would.
Sure. Today's Citizens Bank poll question of the day. Would you or will you acknowledge Antoine Davis breaking Pete Maravich's scoring record? And not surprisingly, 85% say no.
I think I expected that, right? In a very partisan LSU crowd. You and I were talking about it earlier. And I'm conflicted. If you missed it, we did talk about this to start hour 2. So you can catch it on demand. Tell you all the time, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. You can book your tee time at golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. I'm a little torn on the situation as a whole, because if you, as we went through the whole thing, if you're not familiar, Antoine Davis basically has a 5th year because of COVID. So he's played this is his 5th season. And he's averaged 25 points per game over 5 years, and now he's on the brink of breaking Pete Maravich's record. He's in the Horizon League tournament right now, and they won their opening game of the tournament. So had they lost to Purdue-Fort Wayne, isn't that what it was?
Correct.
Yeah. So had they lost that game, his career would be over. But they won, and so they advanced. They play tonight, and if he scores 26 points in the game tonight, he'll break Pistol Pete's record. So I'm torn because I understand and recognize everything you all understand, which is we all revere Pete Maravich. He set that record in 3 years, averaging 44 points a game, where he didn't have a three-point line and didn't have the benefit of playing as a freshman. So he essentially set that record in fewer games, averaging more points than Antoine Davis has, who, because of a global pandemic, was granted an extra year, took advantage of it, and is going to very likely break Pete Maravich's record as a result. The flip side of it is we see records broken all the time where circumstances around games change. We talked about, the O.J. Simpson single-season rushing record. Well, he did that in 14 games. Well, now there were 16, now 17 games. I mean, that record is going to be passed many times since. Of course, the home run debate for many years, where Babe Ruth played 152 games, 154 games. 154, 150, what was 150, whatever it was. And then, of course, they went to 162, and Roger Maris got the asterisk because he got more games. Then, of course, Barry Bonds and the steroid era guys, Mark McGwire, we all know the thing. So a lot of records have been broken over clouds of controversy over time, but ultimately a record is an opportunity to recognize an amazing accomplishment. And for Antoine Davis, that's what this is. Now, Pistol Pete's 44 points per game is never going to fall. You never want to say never, because many thought Lou Gehrig's streak would never fall. Then came Cal Ripken, and we all thought Pete Maravich's scoring record would never fall. Well, here comes Antoine Davis. I mean, records are broken. It's what happens. I mean, Pete's record has stood for 50 years, and it took a literal global pandemic and a once-in-a-lifetime scenario to unfold to have an opportunity for someone to break this. But I think there are coexisting realities. We can acknowledge that what Antoine Davis is doing is pretty magnificent. To play 5 years of college basketball, to average 25 points per game over 5 years. I mean, to be that good as a freshman, to have that scoring average, and then to stay in school and to do that for 5 years is pretty remarkable in and of itself. But so, too, is what Pete Maravich did. The other thing that we noted earlier that maybe has gone a little under-noticed here is that Antoine Davis, even having played 5 years, has taken about 200 fewer field goal attempts than Pete Maravich did. Maravich averaged 35 field goal attempts per game. So Davis will break this record in more games, yes, but fewer field goal attempts than Pete Maravich had. And yes, the caveat is he's had the three-point shot, and had Pete Maravich had the three-point shot, the record would most certainly be out of reach. I think Dale Brown at one point mentioned that Pete's scoring record would have approached actually 60 points per game had he had a three-point line. So, but anyway, we'll watch tonight, 7 o'clock tip for Detroit Mercy in their Horizon League quarterfinal matchup tonight, where Antoine Davis on the brink of history, where it looks like he's going to break Pete Maravich's all-time scoring record. He'll tie it with 25 points. He'll break it with 26. All right, it's After Further Review, brought to you by Mold Zero USA, mold-0usa.com, mold-0usa.com. Go to the website. You can get the contact information there. Mold Zero services all of Greater Baton Rouge and all of Greater New Orleans. So if you go to the website, you look at the top of the page, you'll see the 225 and the 504 phone numbers. Just call whichever one suits you best. And again, so many times we talk about mold, we think about a gigantic inconvenience, having to move your family out, move furniture out, pets, plants, cutting sheetrock, very disruptive. With Mold Zero, you're talking about virtually no disruption. Just leave your house, they'll come in, they'll spray, they'll let that fog dwell, and as soon as it dissipates, you're free to go back in your home. Mold-free, odor-free, killing dozens of other pathogens. It's Mold Zero. Mold-0USA.com. Mold-0USA.com. I was checking the text line earlier about the record. Devin Kelly said, Cal Ripken's record will never be touched. But we thought Lou Gehrig's record would never be touched. And maybe it's just a thing in eras where someone may, in this era where guys take days off, maybe it won't be. But again, that's the thing. Patrick McKenzie said no one will ever break Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game record. That one I disagree with. I think that one will fall. And I think it'll fall in my lifetime. We just saw Damian Lillard score 71.
And Kobe's dropped 82. Kobe dropped 82.
Kobe dropped 82. I mean, he was with 18 points of it.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that's going to happen at some point. Especially in a day and age where I don't want to say you don't stress defense, but it's more of an offensive game. Wilt scored 100, and I believe in that game, Muse, maybe you could pull up the box score of that Wilt game. I think Wilt scored something like 50 at the free throw line that night. It was something like that where he scored an inordinate amount of those points at the free throw line. So scoring without the clock moving, essentially. Let me know if you can find that box score. It'll be interesting. But it was a large chunk of the points he scored in that game were at the free throw line. Let's see. Anyway, I was checking some of the texts on it to see some of your reaction to it. Did you find it?
I'm still looking. Hold on.
Okay. No, I remember, and it's odd because this is a sort of random aside at how I know that. Malcolm Gladwell does a podcast called Revisionist History, which I love. And one of the episodes he did several years ago was looking at the psychology behind why players won't shoot free throws underhanded, because they looked at the physics of it. This is sort of nerding out, I understand, but essentially it is much easier, like statistically and physically much easier to make free throws underhanded. Yet men won't shoot free throws underhanded or granny style because of the perception of doing so is essentially the answer. And it's like you could be more, and I believe Shaq did this as well. Like they had Shaq work on free throws underhanded, and he wouldn't shoot free throws underhanded because of how it looked. And think about how much more efficient, how much more effective you could be if you were just willing to swallow your pride and shoot them underhanded. That was the premise. And they talked about the Wilt Chamberlain 100-point game. Do you have it?
He was 28 of 32 from the free throw line.
Okay, so it wasn't 50, but it was 28 of 30. So 28. So more than a quarter of the points came from the free throw line. So I mean that's a big chunk of it. He scored a quarter of those points with the clock stopped. So anyway, and I think maybe in that game he did shoot him underhand.
That I don't know. I mean, I can try to find it.
Again, I'm doing this on the fly, pulling from memory. I think maybe in that game he did shoot them underhanded. See, that would be fascinating if I remember that correctly. It was something along those lines. I digress. All right, it's after further review. The one other thing, we got Otter Locks coming up. Jimmy's here. We'll get some picks. We'll have Colucci tonight. Excuse me. Let me do this correctly. We'll have Colucci! I'll tell you what, Muse. We need Colucci to get back on track.
He's kind of going through it, bro.
So is the Otter. I note, because last night the Otter had himself a pretty good night.
That's what we needed.
It was a winning night for the Otter. As he said in his parting shot, whenever you need damage control, you turn to Nate Oates. Although that's one of the ones that lost, actually. He had Bama and they lost. But he hit with Ohio State, lost with Northwestern.
Oh, my bad.
Lost with Northwestern. Notre Dame with the outright win. Vanderbilt plus 10 with the outright win. Bama lost. So he was 3-2 last night.
Good.
So winning night last night. But the Vanderbilt and the Notre Dame wins were significant because those were underdogs winning outright. So you had some pretty good odds on those. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Real quick before we get to Otter. maybe we'll do more of this tomorrow, but my buddy Chris Gordy, who LSU guy, works in Houston, shout out, also hosts the Locked On SEC podcast. He interviewed Hendon Hooker, and Hooker gave an update on his rehab.
So rehab's going great. 6 weeks post-op, being able to put 100% weight bearing on my leg, being able to get back to regular routines without the brace. I don't really need the brace to work out or anything of that nature. I wear it here because we walk around so much and I'm standing up. But it's going great. I'm looking forward to actually doing some more explosive things here in 2 weeks and getting back into the groove of things and getting back to a better me.
So really cool. So 100% weight bearing 6 weeks after surgery. And then what about a timetable for return?
Yeah, I should be ready to compete by camp. So,
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that, getting back to my regular self, being able to move. It's so hard to sit out here and not being able to compete, but I'm just happy to be able to sit in these quarterback meetings and be around such great talent and also see my teammates compete.
That's great news. So provided everything goes as it should, he'll be on target to start training camp with whatever team drafts him. So that's, I mean, for a guy who suffered that injury in November to be in that spot for essentially July would be fantastic. So good on Hendon Hooker, onward and upward. A lot of people like him and pulling for him, and love to see him in the black and gold. So good update. Thanks to Chris Gordy for sending that along. Locked On SEC. It's a great podcast, daily podcast. If you love SEC football, check out Locked On SEC. Okay, it's after further review. Otter Locks next.
AFR.
Brought to you by New Orleans Flooring. We have it in stock today, and we can install it tomorrow. That's what they say at New Orleans Flooring. Listen, they essentially at New Orleans Flooring, 2 locations, let me remind you, 2 locations, Metairie, hence New Orleans Flooring, and Airline Highway in Prairieville. South on Airline, past the Walmart, look to the right. It's right there, big blue sign, can't miss it. Just walk into the showroom. At New Orleans Flooring, they cut out the freight. They cut out the middleman. And in so doing, because they keep all of their inventory in stock, they can offer you 40% discounts. The pricing is incredible. If you're an installer, a home builder, a remodeler, if you're a home investor, flipper, a property manager, maybe you're a remediation company, maybe you're a homeowner that's putting new floors. Get the great high-quality flooring that you'd get anywhere, all the name brands that you know, at about a 40% discount. Why would you go anywhere else? It's New Orleans Flooring. Learn more at nolaflooring.com. Again, online, nolaflooring.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana Loyal. Always.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Down the stretch, we become final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. One thing left to do. Let's find out we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the Ott Father himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Doing good. Damn, NATO got us last night. But that's all right.
Damage control.
Yes, we profitable now. A couple of outright winners, man.
Yeah, man.
Especially Vandy loses their best player only 4 minutes in, and they still win the game as a double-digit dog. That surprised me.
Yeah, Vandy and Notre Dame, two underdogs that Otter had last night that were outright winners.
And damn it, I mean, Auburn did shoot 70% from three during regulation. So I mean, it was, Anyway, I'll tell you what. Make this note. Alabama cuts down the nets. They got the T-shirts last night. They celebrated. Wild comeback. I mean, you overcome a team that has come back against a team that shot 70% from three against their rival. They go to A&M. A&M's ready for them. So A&M's will be catching about 1.5, 2 in that game on Saturday. Put that one down. I got you a couple of XFL lanyard for you today, too.
Oh, really?
Yes, indeed. The Seattle Battlehawks. St. Louis Battlehawks. Yeah, 2-0. They're garbage. Okay, luckiest team in the league. All right, DC -3 against that team, and then the Brahmas. They should be 2-0. They're 1-1. The Brahmas +3.5 in that one. So San Antonio.
Are the Brahmas San Antonio plus? Okay, here we go. Got it. All right.
The churros, the tacos, the Brahmas.
Well, I don't know anything about any of these teams. I mean, you just said St. Louis. I think you got the.
We're fading St. Louis. They're garbage.
Yeah,
2-0.
By the way, DC Defenders laying 2 at DraftKings. If you want to get in on the XFL action.
Let's get on it. DC and San Antonio. 2 picks in college basketball tonight. They're sliding right now on number one multiple times throughout the season. They lost 4 of 6, but it's a short number, maybe a buy low spot on the Purdue Boilermakers tonight. -3.5, 5-3 at Whiskey tonight.
All right.
And then UCLA and Arizona on Saturday on CBS. Actually, ESPN. Primetime game, 9 o'clock Central Time. Maybe both of them peeking ahead a little bit to that matchup that they strategically placed on the last day of the regular season in the Pac-12. USC was very impressive on the road in Colorado. Utah swing last week. Really looking good. They're at home catching a couple of points tonight against Arizona. I like USC. Okay. USC and Purdue in college hoops.
All right. What about Colucci? Anything early?
Oh, we got to get this guy going. Come on, Colucci.
Come on,
Colucci. The Rangers, -150, 152 at range at DraftKings. They go at 6
let's
o'clock.
see. Rangers, -155 on the money line.
Yeah, they're playing the Ottawa Senators. So we're fading Ott. Yes, it's always a good thing. Fade on.
Yes, fade the Otter, yes.
Yes. And then, there's this, it's right between Del Mar and Solano Beach, there's this little outdoor surfside dive hangout that kind of older ladies seem to hang out. Colucci's been there before. It's called Kraken. Kraken. We got the Kraken tonight. Minus 118 at Detroit. So.
Oh, my God. Otter, I'm wheels up tomorrow to Vegas. I'm going for you.
Oh, you are?
I'm going to UFC 285 on Saturday. So maybe I'll have to stumble over to the Rampart and find our friend Colucci.
Oh, you have to take the trip. Oh, okay. Yes, indeed. His work. I mean, people send me pictures all the time when they go meet Colucci. I mean, he is. How long are you staying?
I'm flying tomorrow, going to the fight Saturday, coming home Sunday.
1 minute
Where is
remaining.
the fight?
The fight's at T-Mobile. Yeah, T-Mobile. Yeah.
T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'll be there on Wednesday. So for championship week.
We're just gonna miss each other. Oh, Otter, we got to go hang in Vegas one day.
I know. I'm staying at Hotel Colucci at the Rampart. So.
All right, Otter, where are you tonight, man?
We're at the Original Walk-On, getting ready for the weekend series at the Fox this weekend. Me and Charlie and Max over here at the Original Walk-On. Got all the TVs, sweating our games. Going to have a good time.
Very good. Thanks, Otter. Have a great show.
All right, thanks.
All right, Game Time follows us in Baton Rouge. Brought to you by ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. Electric vehicle chargers, home, office building, car dealerships. Before you get your inventory, you got to get your chargers. ProChargeEV.com. Trust a local company. ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. All right, Muse, Paulie, appreciate it. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
All right, as we get on down the road, love telling you about Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. Told you I'll be at the airport tomorrow, and like I am when you're at the airport and you put your luggage on the scale, look right at the scale. You'll see the sticker, the little blue and green Michelli sticker right there. Michelli is our nation's largest distributor of scales, but there's so much more than that. As a matter of fact, so many different businesses in all the different industries will look at the website and say, oh, I didn't realize Michelli did that. Yes, they do so much in way of calibration for all your weighing and measurement equipment, and they've been around for more than 75 years. It's about making you more efficient. Sometimes what might take, should take 7 to 10 days for out-of-town companies could take 8 to 10 weeks turnaround time with calibration. Michelli, their vendors will come see you. They'll take your devices to their lab, get them calibrated, return it. It's all about getting you back on track quickly. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement online at Michelli.com. Check them out online, Michelli.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.